Honesty, and you say honesty, 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 honesty. Yes, family, I'm back. I'm back. 1 sec, please. Can you hear me now? Loud and clear. No sound. Annie Smith? Tell me you can't hear me, somebody. Oh, Miss Bram Bram. Loud and clear. Okay, all right. No. As I was saying, this is the kind of spirit that we have as Jamaicans. We don't say die. We don't give up, no matter what. You know, we love to hurdle obstacles. And it was a setback that, you know, we started having all of these issues. And I'll be frank with you. I went through the stuff with the technical, with the technician, Kevin, from Reggae Global Radio, and everything was fine. And then we started broadcasting, and then problems nonstop. But that's behind us right now. We're on the move. And a few people asked me to kind of like go back over the show up to the point where it was terminated. And I'll try to do that. I'll just try to give an overview, because we have a whole bunch of documents that we have to look at, which I'm sure you're going to find quite interesting. And as I said earlier, please make sure that you have pen and paper, because I want to empower you with this information. I want you to be able to go anywhere and talk about these two subjects that we're going to discuss tonight. Well, actually, we have a lot more, because we're going to go over some other things. But I want you to be able to go out and discuss these subjects intelligently, right? Not just emotionally, because that won't get you anywhere. Because emotions, you know, that will last for a few minutes or so, until people start asking you the tough questions like, do you have evidence that this actually happened? When did it happen? Where did it happen? Who were the parties? That's when you start having problems. You know, your emotions will have to take a back seat. So all you have to do is just get your information in order, line everything up, and then you don't have to shout. You know, you just speak your truth. People will understand, and people will hearken to the message. So, and I can say, Kevin, I'm going with big things in the background, but I'm so. When we started out months and months ago, I used to get frustrated. No, I don't. You know, I just accept it. I call him, and, you know, wherever he is, he makes himself available. He was actually attending a funeral this afternoon, and he walked out on a couple of occasions to try and get me back online as far as the vocals. And every time he went back in, I had to call him, and he came back out. So, Kevin, big up yourself. Much appreciated. Again, I was going to say good afternoon, now it's evening. Good evening, and welcome to Reason with Rattigan, the second edition for today, August 5th, 2023. Uh, don't forget, tonight, I'm still going to do the midnight program. I'm committed to it, and it will happen. So we're going to go through this program. We're going to do as much as we can. And hopefully we'll get through it, because I'm going to skim through some of the things that we did before, but not the things that we have to talk to you about. Now, like I said, last week, I had to cancel the show because I had to travel. And a lot of you called me and said, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? How's your health? That was the number one question. And my health is fine. My condition is fine. I thank you immensely for calling and checking up on me. Meant a lot to me. And I hope that this is something that we can do for each other. You know, if you have a friend and you haven't seen the friend, haven't heard from them, you know, find out how things are. You never know. You might be able to save a life. And many thanks to you, and tuning back in, because some of you left and you're back, and I'm happy and thankful for that. The message is spreading and the movement is growing, so we have to keep it going. Now, if you remember, the Prime Minister and the Police Commissioner, they said that YouTubers are basically a nuisance and they're spreading misinformation. Now, both of them, they have better things to do than talk about this. This shouldn't be a concern to them. But anyway, they're talking about it. I don't think they're talking about me, but I know that, or I believe I am a nuisance to them. And in a good way, not for them, but for other people. Because I'm holding their feet to the fire and I'm challenging them and asking them to provide evidence of things that they said they've done, and things that they said they've done that they haven't done, then we're calling them out. And I'm not going to misinform the public. That's not my style. In fact, I've developed a reputation for just doing the research and putting up, you know, the documents so that you can see the documents. Well, tonight, for the first time, and Kevin is here, so I know it's going to go through the help of the Almighty and Kevin's his ability to make things happen. It's going to happen, where I'm going to show you the documents, that, because sometimes I've read them and you hear them, but I think they have a more dramatic effect when you look and you can actually read the words for yourself, right? Because I can read it and I can misinform you. Let's say that's my, that is my goal. I could do that. But now when you see the documents for yourself and then you see the citation, you can actually, if you don't believe me, you can actually go pull the documents and look at them for yourself. So tonight is going to be the first time we're going to do this. And I'm hoping that it's successful. I trust that it will be successful. And I hope that you've paid attention to my request, that you show up with pen and paper. Please get your pen and paper now, because we're going to start talk up the things then. And again, I'm going to talk about the issues in plain terms so that everybody can understand. No, it doesn't matter whether you're an academic or you're a farmer. You'll be able to understand. And that's what messaging is all about. That's what communication is all about. It's about making people understand what you're saying. A lot of times we hear from the politicians and you hear these really fancy words, the $10, $20, $100 words. And we jump and say, yeah, and we don't even know what the words mean, right? You won't get that from me. What you're going to get is plain talk. You're going to get simple talk that, and I'm not doing this to dumb it down, but I'm doing it because also for me, because this is where I come from, and, I don't have to think when I speak a certain way. Another way I have to think, right? When I have to speak like I'm on from Waterhouse, I don't have to think. But when you have to, you have to kind of like put your words together. And I don't mind doing that. I'm very adept at doing that, by the way. But it's just that I feel more comfortable talking to people in this manner. So I'm going to talk to you about some things. And then I expect you to take that message and then go out and deliver that message to other people. We're all going to become teachers to each other. And when I say things to you, I don't expect you to take it hook, line, and sinker. I want you to challenge me. If there's a need to challenge, then challenge me. The one thing that's distasteful and that's distracting is when you start challenging me on a personal level. Because what I'm talking about has nothing to do with it has to do with people and how they're being treated. So it's not when you come at me, you say certain things, it's not going to bother me one bit, but you're just taking up time. I mean, I'll entertain you, I'll listen to you. I like listening. I mean, that's one of my strong suits. I'll listen. I love to talk too, but I also love to listen. I won't have any guests today, and we talked about uh, Corporal Rowan James and what happened to him, and how the JCF they violated their own rules to essentially punish the man and embarrass him. But I know him. He's a tough cookie. I see me in him. He's a tough cookie. He's not going anywhere. He's going to fight till the last breath. And he's going to win. Mark my words. You know, this is something that should have been handled by the JCF and the Federation privately. You know, didn't have to come out into court. But it's a good thing that it did, because not just this past was it Tuesday? Just this past Tuesday, the JCF had what they call a sensitization and discussion forum, and all of that was about explaining to people the overtime pay initiative and to get feedback. I personally don't think this would have happened without the actions of Chairman James. So I thank him for that. And I trust that whatever meeting they had a few days ago will be fruitful, and eventually Chairman James will be allowed to resume his position as chairman of the Police Federation. The second thing I talked about, and I'll talk about again, is Isaac Buchanan, that he made some unfortunate remarks. He apologized rather quickly. He resigned from his position in the opposition. I think the Human Rights Committee had to do with human rights. He resigned from that. And now people are just coming at him left, right, and center. Look, people may differ about what he said, whether it should have been attributed to him or attributed to his client, the musician. But what we cannot argue with is that people were offended. And the way I look at it is that if I say something and you're offended, I need to take stock of myself and say, why are you offended? Because it doesn't really matter what my thoughts were. The fact that you're offended should compel me to say, okay, how did I offend you, and how can we get back on track? And that is exactly what he did. But now they want to have impose a negative impact on his professional life. They want to take bread out of the man's mouth, and he has 25 people employed, and you take bread out of fee mouth, you're going to take bread out of the 25 people mouth. And what he did, although wrong, right, it never caused any death. Yes, he deserved the scrutiny, but he doesn't deserve the punishment and the pressure that's those things that are being brought to bear on him right now. And as I said, those of you who are stoning him, think about your own fallibility. Think about your own mistakes. And think about the forgiveness people have extended to you. And finally, think about the power of redemption. Just because you make one mistake doesn't mean you're a bad person. Right? You can redeem yourself from that. But people have to be understanding, and people have to be forgiving. And we all should be, because we have all fallen short of the glory. We've all sinned. We've all committed transgressions. And so all I'm asking is for some consideration for this young man. His heart is in the right place. His mind went astray. But that does not call for eternal condemnation. And that's what we're seeing now. We're seeing people trying to destroy him. Yeah, today we're also going to talk about King Charles and why he should sanction the Governor General. No, there's somebody who deserves to be sanctioned. There's somebody who deserves to be sanctioned. The Governor General, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen. He should be sanctioned. But by whom? He doesn't have a boss in Jamaica. He has no boss in Jamaica. In fact, you can't even take him to court. We'll get to that. And then I have some documents I want to share with you regarding Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith and my belief why she should resign. She should resign. You know, there's so many things going on with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. It's just laughable. They are rank amateurs, and I'm talking about the leadership, the rank and file people. They're the committed public servants, the career people. They're doing tremendous job. They're doing a tremendous job. It's the politicians, the ones that are the problem. So, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade people, I'm on your side, but I'm not on the side of the leadership because because you've spoken to me. A lot of you have spoken to me. You're dissatisfied with the direction the ministry is going. But you can't speak. So I will speak for you. All right? The phone, you know what? It's a good thing. I need to turn the phones back on. And then let me just finish up as a housekeeping matter. Let me just finish up the presentation. Then I'll take some calls, and I'll do the second one, and then we'll take some calls, and then that's it. And then you can join me through the magic of Kevin. You can now get me on Reggae Global Radio YouTube. And the phone number is right there, 667-369-8569, 667-369-8569. Before I go any further, let me say to all Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica, whether you're at home or abroad, let me join you in recognizing the holidays, plural, emancipation that just went and independence that's coming up. Actually, it's tomorrow. And as you celebrate, please take some time to kind of look into the history, especially regarding independence, because I think you're going to be surprised when you find out that what we have been told, what we have been sold, not exactly what we think it is. So do a little bit of homework, and then let's talk later on. All right? Please don't forget to tune in tonight to Reggae Global Radio at midnight until 2. I'm still going to do that program. The playlist is ready for almost 2 weeks. I'm hopeful that you'll enjoy it as much as I was in making it. And I'm going to enjoy it tonight. So make plans. Join me tonight, midnight on Reggae Global Radio. Again, bless up to all of my friends and family. By blood, relations, and choice. That says it all. The Reggae Global family, the Meadowbrook crew, the Firehouse crew, Rollington crew, police, soldiers, especially those going to Haiti. All of the maids, laborers, and people them who are going to bed tonight hungry or with a belly full of junk food. Hopefully, there'll come a time soon when all of that will come to an end. And that's my purpose for being here, to get this government to provide the prosperity and the opportunity and safety and security, all the things they promised you and that they were elected on. I hope that my efforts won't go in vain, that it will cause them to do the right thing. And let me be absolutely clear here. What I'm trying to do, I'm not asking for regime change. I'm not a politician. I'm not arguing for a political party. I'm arguing for the people. And if this government would stand and deliver, then I say to people, vote for them. If they're standing and they're delivering on the promises they made to you and you're satisfied, then vote for them. If they didn't, then you have an option. Lots of things you can do. Some people even ask me for no, not at this point in time. Folks, I want to again big up Mr. Guntley, my neighbor from Penwood Crescent. Just turned 100. I think it was Tuesday. And that's the man who took care of me and my father and his 4 sons, and he had a wife. At one point he had a butcher shop, but he had a little 39 Penwood Crescent, tenement yard. He took care of me until he couldn't, and his wife couldn't, because times were tough. They just didn't have the funding to feed 2 extra mouths, and that's me and my father. Them couldn't do it, so I had to move to Maxwell Avenue. And I talked a little bit earlier about the living conditions. How 4 of us slept on a single bed, in our room with 2 single beds. One of them was Mr. Guntley's mother, Granny, and the other one, it was me, Flatty Doggy, Bugs Bunny, 4 away. And Bunny, I listen right now out of Pennsylvania. So, and sadly, his 3 brothers, they're dead. One was gunned down in the crossroads here. Another one was killed and thrown out on the highway in New York. Another one died of medical complications. So Bunny is the only survivor of his siblings, himself and his siblings. So Bunny, big up yourself, keep the faith. I also talked about living on Maxwell Avenue, going over there and living with Carla Andar. Again, similar to the lifestyle in Waterhouse. And as I said that, I need to just, where is it? I need to just say condolences again to Timai, Durmi and the family, the Smith family. I live with them in a place named Compound, Olympic Gardens. That's now the PM's constituency. Their father, Big Roy, Daddy Roy, he died recently. And then also Rose, a cousin of mine, the Barnaby family, she died. I think it was this week. So condolences to both families, and you'll be hearing from me. I agree with you, because not only is it blood, but I knew both of them quite well. Reggae girls, yeah. Minister Grange admitted on Thursday that whatever the government did was not enough. And so, because it wasn't enough, I think it was one player's parent who established a GoFundMe, and they were able to finance their way to the World Cup. Not only through that, but it helped because they had funding from friends, well-wishers, and of course the government. But as I said before, the government has thrown money behind in unworthy and unnecessary causes, like Minister Kamina Johnson Smith, her Commonwealth bid. That was something that should have never taken place, because if we all remember, Jamaica was in the consensus, the CARICOM consensus, where they said, look, we're going to support Baroness Patricia Scotland. So we're not as a group. And then a few weeks later, maybe a month later or so, Jamaica decided, no, we're sending up our own candidate. And it caused a rift, no matter what they tell you, it caused a rift in CARICOM. And that's one of the reasons why people, the other countries, they have a dislike for Jamaica. And they don't trust Jamaica, the government, not the people, the government, because of what it has done. It has broken handshake agreements between leaders in the region. You don't do that. And then they spent $43 million, right? This spend $43 million for this campaign. Think about what that could have done, not only for the reggae girls and the sunshine girls, but think about what this could have done for just ordinary people in Jamaica. Just think about it. I mean, they'll come back and somebody will probably say, technically it couldn't have because, the consolidated fund, it have to do this, have to do that. Point of the matter is this, that you didn't have to spend $43 million for this. You did. And where is corporate Jamaica, by the way? Been nowhere around. They gave money to Kamina Johnson-Smith because they said, it would benefit Jamaica and this and that and that. How about reggae girls? What am I doing now benefit Jamaica? Or maybe there was another motive. Maybe there was, because I can't prove it. I'm just saying maybe. Could there have been an economic motive why the support was granted to her? I don't know. It's worth looking into. I'm going to be watching the game tomorrow morning or whenever I think it's tomorrow morning. I'm going to be watching the game to see if we see any Jamaican officials in the stands because we never support. Minister Green said it. Enough was not done. So please don't burden the public coffers. Don't burden the taxpayers again by buying tickets and going to Australia about to now go cheer on the team. They have enough supporters right now. And a lot of them, they're not even Jamaicans. So that's where we are. Isaac Buchanan, what can I say? More pressure on the young man and coming from PSOJ. And PSOJ, they have lots of things that they can argue with the government about and over, and they haven't. They have not forced the government to sign the code of conduct, which they should. So we're waiting to see what's going to happen there. But in the meantime, they're just pressuring this young man. And it's the same PSOJ who did not apply pressure to various politicians who committed serious infractions and brought the parliament into disrepute. They didn't do that. But see, Isaac Buchanan, that's easy pickings. It's one guy. He's not a politician. And then he has a checkered past. He's reformed himself. He's redeemed himself. But that doesn't score points. That doesn't score points with them. And it's the same PSOJ who joined forces with civil society and others to usher in the consensus on crime in 2020. But if you recall, they didn't pressure the Minister of National Security to attend scheduled meetings, to participate in the implementation of safety and security measures to save lives and protect our people. Didn't do any of that. Minister just absent. Nothing was done. Now, we talked also about the Prime Minister providing the donkey to the farmer. I mean, I applaud her for her spunk. She actually asked and she received. That's what the book says, right? Ask and ye shall receive, seek and ye shall find, knock on the door shall be opened. She did all those things and she got her donkey. But that was a personal plea. Government should not operate like that. Because you know what the problem was? The problem was the road. The road has to be fixed. But instead of fixing the road, they gave one person a donkey. What about the other farmers? This is what we've come to. And we have many examples of this. Remember Peanut Dread, who asked for building materials? Remember the lady who asked for items for her store? And there was a lady whose house was destroyed, and I think they built her a new a new house. What about the other people? Her house wasn't the only house that was destroyed. I applaud all of them for asking. But we must remember that for every one person that gets help like that, you have scores of people still destitute, still desperate, still looking forward to that promised prosperity. The police commissioner, if you remember, he talked about crime going down, right? And then what happened? In the words of the prime minister, Radam, crime went up, murders went up, rape went up, everything went up. Everything didn't go up, but the serious crime, like murder, actually went up. But I think we got disconnected, folks, when I started asking questions of the police commissioner. And so I'm going to continue. And you can memorize these questions. You can write them down. And whenever you see him, ask him these questions because these are very pertinent questions. And they relate to you and your security and his reassurance to provide you those things. You can ask him questions like, what about the undelivered police vehicles that were paid for, should have been delivered, haven't been delivered? When will they be delivered? You can ask him about the money he received, his government received from the Japanese government just last month. And that money was earmarked to buy, I think, 33 vehicles, 34, including an ambulance. Why are we getting money from people to buy vehicles that we already paid for from 2016? Where are those vehicles? How about service firearm? Remember we talked about that? Can you imagine this? You're there to protect your people and you show up for work, you don't have a weapon. So you get one at the police station. You're a police officer. You get one at the police station. You sign it out. And then you go on your shift. You finish your shift, you come back, you have to sign it back in. And now you go home, no weapon. This is nonsense. This is foolishness. Jamaica has been receiving so many grants and aid from all over the world. You can't tell me that they cannot have service firearms for every single police officer. And if you think about it, it's not a lot. 12,000. 12,000. How about bulletproof vests? I'm hearing now that now they're beginning to get some bulletproof vests, but they're inferior quality. And the shootings in Jamaica, they're on the increase. They're on the uptick again. How about uniforms? Remember the video we saw with the guy with his boot? The government is supposed, by regulation, the government is supposed to provide a certain amount of uniforms every year to each police officer. That hasn't happened. Even though we're told that the government had 1.2 billion US dollars to spend on transforming the police department. Where's the transformation? Ask the police officers about that next time. You just ask them, have you seen the transformation? What about the nationwide radio capability? What about your bulletproof vests? What about your service firearm? What about your working conditions? What about non-lethal weapons? Ask them. How about the 30 technical projects that the police commissioner said he's working on? When he and the prime minister visited the US in December of 2022, right? He was told that, oh yeah, body camera too, JJ, you're right. He was told that you shouldn't do more than 2 to 3 technology projects at a time. And under his leadership, the JCF in 2020 was dealing with 12 at the same time. And then last December, he said it here in Washington, D.C., that they were working on 30 or more. I remember 30, may have been more, 30 technology projects at the same time. This is asinine. This is asinine. You don't have the technology, you don't have the people, you don't have the resources. These are things we're hearing. So why are you doing? Why not just do two or three at a time and become highly competent? But two or three, and then you can expand after that. And by the way, what do you have in place to reduce your attrition rate? What do you have in place to prevent people from getting a skill and then going to another country or to private industry? What do you have in place to protect the country? Because the country is paying, taxpayers are paying for them to get that training. Then they get the training and then they leave. How about the bad guys that you talked to the FBI about in December 2022? When was the last time, Mr. Police Commissioner, you provided a status report to the public on trips you took at their expense? When was the last time? I said earlier, and this is people, whenever you get a chance to ask a public official a question, this is a question you must ask. What keeps you up at night? It sounds like a simple question, but it's a very revealing question. Very revealing question. Ask the police commissioner if he still does he still not wear the commissioner's hat, because he was at a function and Miss Kitty asked him a question about what can the diaspora and Jamaicans at home do to help the police, and he said he was blessed, and he said, well, I'm not here wearing my commissioner's hat. It was, interestingly, it was a function concerning an initiative, I think, a public, a police and private sector initiative. And he said, oh, I'm not here wearing my commissioner's hat tonight. Mr. Police Commissioner, you should be wearing that hat every day. You should sleep in that hat. You should take a shower in that hat until the crime issue in Jamaica is abated. Once we get crime at a tolerable level, then you can take off the hat. But you're supposed to wear that hat. And when I say hat, I'm talking about the hat of responsibility and leadership. That's what I'm talking about. Folks, we're having a rough ride, and we're in for an even rougher ride, because we haven't seen the transformation, no, the promised transformation of the JCF. We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it. Ask him if he's ever done a surprise trip, just to go out, not let people know when he's coming, but just go out and visit the stations and show some support for the men and women and personally observe what's going on. Jamaica is a small island, so you can't tell me that you're going to need people to report to you about what's going on in a particular part of the island or a particular station. You should come out of your office, come out of your comfort zone, and go out and meet these people. That's what you should do. Do surprise visits and support the men and women who put their lives on the line every day. Ask him if he's ever established sister relationships, real meaningful relationships with law enforcement and intelligence services outside Jamaica. First of all, I can tell you this. If I were involved with law enforcement or intelligence of another country and he showed up, I wouldn't have much use for him, considering that his own people gave him a 91% disapproval rating. Only Jamaica alone, you can get a 91 disapproval rating and still have your job. Oh, and get a raise. Only Jamaica. Where they get the raise before or after? Only Jamaica. 91% disapproval rating. Private industry, you're gone. You're gone. So ask him if he's ever sent people, seconded people to other agencies so that they can learn best practices and bring that to Jamaica. And when they bring the best practices to Jamaica, what Jamaica should do is look at it and fit that into the Jamaican experience, because not everything will work in America and England and Canada will work in Jamaica. We know that. So you can't come here and just adopt something and bring it and just force it on the people, especially law enforcement. You have to be very careful. And so it takes skill. It takes adaptability. It takes experience. It takes leadership. To look at something and say, okay, this worked in another part of the world. Now let's see how we can fit it into our model to make it work. Just don't accept it wholesale. You know? Ask him about his plans to advertise and conduct island-wide town hall meetings. Ask him. As I mentioned, he talked about a proposal for legislation concerning social media commentators. Ask him why. We have more pressing problems in Jamaica than worry about what people are saying on social media. Every time he makes a mistake, there are consequences, serious consequences. When somebody on social media say whatever they have to say, you take it or you leave it. But when you tell me that you have over 200 gangs in Jamaica and you haven't shown me what you've done to dismantle, defeat, and disrupt these gangs, then I'm not impressed. Not impressed. He also mentioned the idea of a task force, saying that we need to take retired JDF, JCF personnel, and members of the public, upstanding members with firearms permits, and we're going to create a task force. Is he mad? Is this the best he can do? Think about that for a second, folks. Him get so much money for recruit people within the JCF, and somehow he's lost sight of that. And now he's saying, no, you know what? To beef up the force, we need to do a task force, and we need to get retired people. I'm not saying that retired people can't provide a necessary service in the crime prevention and the crime fighting arena, but not in that task force setting as proposed by this gentleman. No. Ask him, what is the status of that brilliant idea? Just tell him, say, oh yeah, that's a brilliant idea you came up with, Mr. Police Commissioner. Now, please tell us, what's the status of that? How will it work? How will they be trained? Will they be deputized? What about liability? And so on and so forth. He won't be able to answer you intelligently. You know why? Because he has no experience as a law enforcement officer. He has none. Police Commissioner Anderson, I mean to be critical of you. You know, people say, well, I don't mean to. No, I mean to be critical of you, because Jamaicans at home and abroad are complaining about the crime rate. And you have been there for several years. And all we've heard about is the transformation of the JCF. And we have heard even less about Minister Chang's crime plan, dubbed Plan Secure Jamaica. I don't think we now pay attention. Plan Secure Jamaica is the crime plan. I think no, man. If them give a bulla with our name on it, we not name it. We're going to see we name and say, no, it's not right. Some people give them a bulla with them name on it, them name it. Not around here. Mr. Chang is responsible for policy. So he'll say, I need the crime rate to be reduced by 30% or whatever it is. And he may come out with a few initiatives. But the police commissioner's job is to implement that. His job is operational. He is supposed to make it happen. And as we know, it ain't happening. And it ain't happening for a long time. Ask the police commissioner to tell you about the success of Plan Secure Jamaica. Remember that label, that term. Plan Secure Jamaica. And I see where Smith said SOE equal crime plan. We'll get to that. But Plan Secure Jamaica, folks, that's the crime plan. They talk about it in Parliament more than they talk about it outside Parliament. Because they can't even talk to you about it because it doesn't really involve you and it doesn't make sense in terms of implementation. If you look at it and you read it, you might go, oh yeah, fine. But then you look at it and you say, wait a minute, they've been doing this. They've been talking about this thing since 2016, 2017. And that's where the bulk of the budget has gone for the JC. Plan Secure Jamaica. Ask them about it. Yeah, who am I? You're right. The trampling all over the crime scene. But you know what? They trampled over the crime scene because chances are, if the police commissioner, if he had been there, probably would have trampled over the crime scene too. I say probably. Should know better. The PM and the commissioner are cousins. I've heard that too, but I don't know it to be a fact. I respectfully extend an open invitation for the police commissioner to come on Reason with Rattigan, this program, to discuss the critical issue of crime fighting. And when I say discuss, I'm talking about not just tell me what the issues are, but tell me, what have you done? What are you doing? And what do you plan to do to reduce crime? And when he comes on, I need the public to be on as well, because there's an aspect of crime that doesn't get measured a lot. And it is this: your perception about crime. They can tell you that the numbers are going down, but how do you feel? Do you feel safe in spite of or despite the numbers increasing or decreasing? How do you feel? Oh, Patricia, he'll never come on my program. Well, you never know. All I can do is ask. And if they don't show up, then that's fine. But you see, as a police commissioner, you're supposed to face the music, meaning you're supposed to face the challenges brought to the fore by the people you're sworn to protect. You can't just hide in the office up a Old Hope Road, the high command. You can't do that. Yes, Vincent, I will. Where will the soldiers stay while in Haiti? Good question. Yeah, Olive. Yeah, it's never come on the live. It won't come. It won't come. Make sure he brings his interpreter. And the invitation, I'm going to extend it to the police commissioner, and he can bring the minister of national security, and they can bring their advisors. And look, they can all line up on that side, and I can be here on this side by myself. I can also have people like Dr. John Lennon sitting with me, and Herbert Nelson. I can have those people, and then we can discuss the issues with them. 1 second, folks. I think I know who this call is coming from. It's not coming from the Prime Minister, I can tell you that. All right. So sorry about that. My apologies. A significant a person of influence just called and just wanted to find out if you're watching the program and they had a question, but it's something else. Again, I'll invite them to come on, but something tells me, and I know I'm right. Something tells me that it won't happen. It will never happen. Because I invite them all the time. I invite them all the time. But something tells me that in the words of Minister Kamina Johnson Smith, that will never happen. Remember she said that when the reporter asked her about what Baroness Scotland said about that she should withdraw from the race. She said, it's not going to happen. That will never happen. Likewise, that will never happen. They won't come. But voters, I need you to take stock of that. Because here it is, I'm a Jamaican, and I'm saying, look, I've been involved in the crime fighting business for over 30 years. And I'm saying, come, let's sit and reason. Let's see if we can come up with solutions to benefit Jamaica. Let's do it, because there are lots of people wanna go back to Jamaica, retire and take them last breath in Jamaica, bury in Jamaica. But because of the crime monster, the specter of crime, that's a big problem. Mr. Police Commissioner, I saw records to find something complimentary about your leadership at this once, and I use the term loosely, venerable organization. And sir, I'm struggling to find something complimentary about your leadership. It was in February 2020 when you told us about the number of gang arrests the JCF made in St. Catherine, and that you were disrupting and defeating these criminal elements. I'll give you some credit. It's true that there have been some guilty verdicts. But sir, because you're a military man, I don't think you understand that arrests must translate into convictions before celebration. Arrest is not enough. You must get convictions before you start celebrate. That's a premature celebration when you start talking about we're arresting this and we're arresting that and we're doing this. And no, convict them. And what does that mean? It means that you have to conduct impeccable investigations, something I don't think you're familiar with. I may be wrong, but based on your performance, I'm informed by that. it is quite noticeable that your military training is unhelpful in whatever your intention is, expressed or otherwise, to fight crime. Sir, I wish you God's blessings. You definitely need it because your thin law enforcement experience has carried you as far as you're going to go. The Peter principle is in full effect. Where you rise to your level of incompetence. And by now, it should be patently observable to you that wishing for crime to go away is neither a strategy nor a tactic. Sir, it takes hard work. It takes sleepless nights. It takes wearing that commissioner's hat at all times. It takes solid experience. It takes good judgment. It takes sincere humility. In essence, it takes leadership. It takes leadership. And I would ask, sir, that you look in the mirror and ask yourself two simple questions. And I'm going to put them in the first person. I'm going to pretend I'm you. Considering my time and rank in the military, my stint as the National Security Advisor, my years as police commissioner, and the high crime rate under my stewardship of the JCF, do I honestly have the required skills to tame the crime monster in Jamaica? Ask yourself that question. I can tell you right now the answer is no. And if you're honest and you agree and you say no, then the second question you should ask yourself is this. And by the way, you shouldn't lie to yourself. The second question is this. And before we get to the second question, don't lie to yourself and don't be influenced by people telling you what a great administrator, crime fighter you are, because you know deep in your gut, you know you're not. You haven't displayed what it takes. You may have it, but you haven't displayed it. So what good is that? So the answer is no. And the second question is, again, in the first person, what's holding me back from going home to my family and stepping aside to let a qualified JCF member take over the reins? What's holding you back? You've gotten enough money from the public coffers, and you've breached the social contract with the people of Jamaica. You haven't provided safety and security and reassurance. You have not. And for the sake of Jamaica, for the sake of the people, for the sake of Vision 2030 and beyond, I call upon you, sir, to walk away, resign. There are qualified people in the JCF. I know some of them. They disagree with you. But because of politics, they won't be disagreeable. They won't tell you. But they'll tell others. They have told others. There are qualified men and women in that organization who can lead that organization back to a level of normalcy. It's abnormal right now. And it's abnormal partly because of you. The buck stops with you. You're at the helm. Sonia, I know you want to go home and take your last breath, but you can't with this gentleman in charge. Oh, what is holding him back? His wife does not want him home. Sunday, easy with him. you know, Angie, thanks. Thank you so much. But, you know, what's holding him back? You know, he's of the age that he can just simply retire and just go about and take care of his grandchild. I mean, he may have had another since February 2020, February 20th, 2020, his first grandchild was born, I believe. Claudette, you're right. That's a good question. Why would they resign if they're getting free taxpayers' money without having to work for it? Yeah, well, that says something about the taxpayers now. Because if the taxpayers know this and they haven't done anything, then that's a problem. So he's not the only problem. If the idea was people didn't know this was going on, then that reason might be palatable. It might go down well. But when you do know and you just end up in a seemingly acceptable position where you just accept it. But, you know, and I'm looking at all of the comments, and they're basically saying that this man is unprincipled. Because if he's principled, he would say, no, I have to do the right thing. I'm not making any progress in terms of protecting my people. And therefore, I will step aside and turn the wheel over to someone who can do it. And I'm not advocating to get anybody outside the JCF. I mean, this military experiment has run its course. This is the third military man that we've had, and he's the worst. He's the third, and he's the worst. And they have qualified people in there. So I'm saying you don't have to step outside the JCF. Pick someone from within the JCF. They're very familiar with the issues. Now, you know, time. Kevin, I know you know the background. What time is it have until 10? Okay. You can respond. You can text me. Just let me know because I have a bunch of things here. There was a recent Court of Appeal decision regarding the government's appeal of a Supreme Court decision holding that states of emergency are unconstitutional. Let me break that down. They had states of emergency all over the place, right? Where they picked up people without probable cause that these people committed a crime, and they detained them, they arrested them, but they never charged them. And some of these folks decided to file lawsuits. And in one of those cases in the Supreme Court, the judge held that the state of emergency, as implemented by the government, was unconstitutional. Now you have damages. You have to pay the person for the injury suffered, physical and otherwise. Now, what happened? The government, in its wisdom, appealed. And the appeal court held about 2 weeks ago. They said, we're going to dismiss the government's appeal on jurisdictional grounds, saying that we don't have the authority to listen to this matter. And essentially what they were saying was, look, the Supreme Court, the lower court, they held that there's a violation here. And so we're not going to get involved. We're not going to get, that matter has been dispensed with. And we're not going to get involved to review that. It's called a habeas corpus, meaning bring the body before the court. That's when you detain someone unlawfully, right? And the judge, the Supreme Court, which is a lower court, that judge, one judge, and that was also one of the issues, whether or not one judge could rule on a constitutional issue. And the appeals The appeal court said, no, we're not going to touch that. So they left that in place. So as of right now, states of emergency are unconstitutional in Jamaica. What do I mean by that? I mean that any state of emergency that is not proclaimed by the Governor General because of war, because of natural disaster, or because of insurrection is unconstitutional. You can't use a state of emergency as a police tactic or strategy. You cannot. It was not designed for that. And we're going to go into that. Wasn't designed for that. So the Supreme Court, the lower court, that law is still good law. And guess what? Now the taxpayers now have to pay damages to those people who were detained and arrested. Millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, because there are lots of them. And here it is, we have a government, we have a Ministry of National Security, we have the JCF and the JDF patrolling, and we have a Governor General. By the way, who am I? They said the SOEs enhanced, what is it? Enhanced, I forgot the term they use, but they want to refer to it like a crime plan, but it is not. The crime plan is called Plan Secure Jamaica. Prime Minister said the taxpayers get what they paid for. Okay. So taxpayers, keep this in mind. You see all of those, if you buy a bulla, if you buy a patty, a bag juice or whatever, GCT is there. Taxes. So don't ever fool yourself into thinking that you don't pay taxes. Hidden taxes sometimes. And that money will be used to pay some of these folks. You know, so someone will probably say, why? Sorry, so they never hold me and do that. Could I get some money now? But these people, believe me, they're so arrogant that they might just go ahead and do another one. You know? There you go. Ruthlin Matthews. Enhanced security measures. I knew somebody in the chat room would mention it to me. Yeah, that's what they call states of emergency. That's what they call ZOZO. They call them enhanced security measures. Touch another topic. And this is a controversial one, like all the others. The diplomatic row between Jamaica and the US over the accreditation and the assignment of a same-sex couple to Jamaica. The problem between Jamaica and the US over this issue is proof positive to me that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade is led by amateurs of the highest order. Why do I say that? I've seen this issue before. I've sat at the table when these issues came up. My comment is based on how the ministry handled the diplomatic note that went from the US Embassy to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade announcing or requesting the accreditation and an assignment of the same-sex couple. They handled it as if they thought it would go away. How did they handle it? They ignored it. You don't do that. You don't do that in diplomatic circles. A true diplomat will find a way to reach a resolution. You don't ignore the problem. And that is exactly what they did. The way it works is this. The State Department would the State Department is responsible for sending people overseas, right? And that's where you get your ambassadors. And when you go overseas, there is a cable, like like when I went overseas from the FBI. The FBI, excuse me, generated a cable saying to the State Department, Mr. Rattigan is being assigned to this country. Mr. Rattigan's background is so and so and so. He's worked here, he's done this, he's done that. He's coming over, and he's coming over with 15 people, and he will be assigned to the legal attache's office, and he will seek accreditation for all these other countries, all these countries. So that goes to State Department. So if I were going to Jamaica, the FBI would send it over to the State Department. The State Department would then send it to the embassy in Jamaica. That cable that went from the FBI office, right? It would go over to the State Department. If it from FBI headquarters would go to the State Department headquarters. Then the State Department would send it to wherever I'm assigned. So if I'm going to Jamaica, they would send it to the embassy in Jamaica. The embassy would then take that take that cable and convert it into what's called a diplomatic note, dip note for short. They would take that, and it would include most of the things from the cable. So they would take that, because there's a certain format, and then they would send it over to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, announcing and requesting. It would be announced. It would be the dip note would be announcing my selection to come to Jamaica, and then it would be requesting protocols, diplomatic protocols, accreditation. Now, when it gets there, that's something that's handled quite easily, quite readily. It's not something that you sit and then you don't respond, because remember, somebody has sold their home or whatever, have made arrangements to come, and the government has it that, okay, they're supposed to be there at a certain time to start working. And this is not just for the US, this is all over the world. So when you sit on that dip note, you're affecting the lives of a lot of people, not just the people being assigned, but there's an officer at the embassy who has to close his accounts too. And that didn't happen. So they thought it would go away. They did not respond after getting the dip note, and it was only after the embassy went back. I'm sure what happened. I'm pretty sure that when the cable, there was no response, that someone from the embassy picked up the phone and they called their contact over at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and said, hey, what's going on? We sent you this cable. Mr. X is in a holding pattern, and we haven't heard back from you. And it was only then that the Jamaican government rejected the diplomatic note. This was in poor taste and should have been handled diplomatically upon receipt of the dip note. If you didn't want this person to come, then what you should have done is you should have just gotten up, march over to the US embassy, and have a discussion. I could care less whether, but you want to bring him, you don't want to bring him. That's not my argument. My argument is on the diplomatic side of it, that you don't get a dip note and ignore it. And I believe the leadership at the ministry was, well, still is, Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith, and I think Junior Minister Mr. Leslie Campbell was there. I think so. At the time, he's gone now, but I think so. I'm open to being fully corrected, but need I say more? Because if Minister Leslie Campbell was there, remember that he was just recently diplomatically relieved of his duties and has been, how shall we say it, referred for prosecution by the Integrity Commission. And Minister Johnson Smith, she's dug a hole for herself that is so deep that none of her colleagues will come to her rescue. Think about that. In Jamaica, you have the 9-day wonder stories. They come up and then they die after 9 days because they're replaced by other stories, and nobody does the follow up. This story has been going on since. And Kevin, I don't know if you can get in and find the interview that she did, because if I have to do it, it's going to take a little bit of time from the presentation. But nobody has come to her defense. Go back and check. Remember when she was running for this position, everybody was out there saying, "Oh yeah, she's the best thing since sliced bread. Oh, she's great," and everybody's supporting her. But since I filed those charges and I've leveled those charges at her. And by the way, folks, let me say it one more time. This is not an allegation. They say, "Oh, you have to say alleged because we don't know and everyone is innocent until proven guilty." This is a fact. So I refuse to use the word allegation. I'm not parsing my words. She didn't file and she should have filed. It's that simple. And I'm going to prove it to you tonight. And when I'm done, if you disagreed with me before, you're going to agree with me. I'm supremely confident that you will when I show you the documents. And by the way, Finn Partners is not an innocent party in this either, because I'm going to show you what they submitted. And by the way, I've requested that an investigation be conducted against them. I've always said you don't have to look for Rattigan, because I don't hide behind people and I don't hide behind words. I tell you what I'm going to do. I telegraph it. I don't know how to hide these things. I telegraph it and then I do it. So I don't know if Kevin is listening to me, because I need him to do. Let me ask you folks if you want me to do the Governor General piece first, or you want me to do Minister Kamina Johnson's piece. Just hit me up and let me know. Well, I call Kevin and see if Kevin can pull up an interview for me. Oh, someone said the GG. All right. GG first. Yes, GG. All right. What is the GG? Well, we still have to make Kevin know, so we need an interview with that. Kevin. Folks, actually, I'm actually glad that you said the GG, because I have an interview that some of you probably haven't seen, which means that some of you have seen it, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. And that's going to be my intro to the whole thing. We're going to start and then we'll go there. But anyway, let's start now with, let me see if by the way, somebody asked about King Charles. We're going to get to that now. Again, this is the first time I'm doing this kind of thing. And I'll be honest with you, I know my limits, right? I'm not a technical person dealing with computers and things like that. And I have no interest. And I know I'm going to make mistakes. I have, and I will continue. So bear with me. We have Kevin, who thankfully is back from the funeral. Well, Shouldn't say it like that. Shouldn't say thankfully. Kevin is back from an event. He's home. And so I can reach out to him and have him ask him to do a couple of things for me. So when I get a chance, big him up in another thing there. All right. No. I'm going to show you something. Hold on. This is the man we're talking about. Big title. Right? His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen. Now, in introducing him, let me say this. His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, does not represent Jamaica. He represents King Charles III. He's Jamaican by birth, but he does not represent Jamaica. You take a picture, man. All right. See him there. This man doesn't represent Jamaica. And I've tendered to the public, I've submitted to all of you the fact that, in my opinion, this man is the most powerful man, no, powerful person in Jamaica. Why do I say that? Because of the powers ascribed to him in the Jamaican Constitution. Think about that. I'm going to show it to you. No, there's something called a throne speech, and that's the speech that must be made before you can open Parliament. And who makes that throne speech? That gentleman, His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen. He must make that throne speech, and by doing so, he opens up Parliament for the session. Cannot be open if he doesn't do it. There are lots of things that cannot be done in Jamaica if he doesn't put his signature on a piece of paper, or if he doesn't agree with certain things, like state of emergency, for example. Right? But let me show you something. Oh, the throne speech, it is what the government plans to do. Fisher, you're right. But hold tight. It's what the government plans to do. And also, this man is not supposed to be an idiot. So if they give him a throne speech, and the throne speech has a bunch of idiotic statements in there, or things that just, they're just not logical. He's not going to make that speech. We can at least give him that credit. He's not going to make that speech. But let's start with him, and I'm just going to show you in his throne speech some things that the government, and it goes to the point that someone just made, saying that he's working for the government. But let me just show you something. All right. Where are we? Okay, further down. Stay with me, folks. You've been with me you can't leave me now. All right. Okay, hold on. Oh, now digress and tell you about crime plans and how government agencies, how they try to escape being accountable. You see, whenever you see this, a platform provided by an agency, a position paper, or their priorities, whenever you see these words, the ministry will, and you see leverage, strengthen, help, seek, help, Those are code words saying that we don't want to be accountable. Because when they want to be accountable, or if they have to be accountable, you would see numbers in here. You would see things that are measurable, things that are reasonable, things that are attainable. You would see them in there. Whenever you read a document and you see these words and you look, there is nothing inside here telling you how do you measure strength and engagement with the diaspora to promote their greater involvement in national development. How? Leverage our Jamaican diaspora in diplomacy and trade. How? Where's the mark? What's it going to be measured against? Whenever you see this, whether it's a position taken by a ministry like this or a crime plan, it means that they have no desire to be accountable. Just keep that in mind. Move on. Okay. Take a look at this. See what it says? And this is a speech given by the Governor General. It says, among the major action items on our legislative agenda for this year, what year was that? 2016. And in 2016, they said this is going to be on our legislative agenda, meaning that we are going to pass them liar in our 2016. Look at this. Look at this one right here. A cushion bill to replace Her Majesty the Queen with a non-executive president as head of state. This is 2016. Where are we now? 2023, and we just talked about we have the constitutional reform, and we have a committee. This was supposed to be done in 2016. I won't even talk about this one with the DPP. I'll skip that one. Look at this one. Look at this. Fixed election dates. Parliament. Read with me. This year, what year? 20 will see legislation, see laws being passed for fixed election dates and term limits for the prime. Get on a pen and paper. Go back, look at the Governor General's throne speech in 2016. It says that Parliament in 2016, they're going to see legislation, mean that they're going to table a bill, pass legislation to create fixed election dates and term limits. For whom? The Prime Minister. That not happen. Right? I'll leave that one right there. Let's go. Let's start our conversation now. Let's start our conversation about the GG now and the king. And I want to start at the end and then jump to the beginning, just so that you get a full understanding. But I want to go back and forth and to emphasize certain points and to ensure that the points make sense. Look at this. This is a DHL letter. And who is it addressed to? Sir Clive Alderton. Who is Sir Clive Alderton? He is King Charles III's private secretary. And it says, hello, Sir Clive Alderton. In fact, it says right up here, right here, it's delivered. Whatever it was delivered. Whatever it was, that blah, blah, blah. From whom? With Rattigan Wilfred. Has been delivered on Monday, July 3rd, past Monday. Right? Look where it go. Look at the delivery address. Buckingham Palace. So now you want to know where inside of that package, right? All right. Go down and walk you. What we're going to do today is we're going to walk through the Constitution. This is something that should have been via civics. Oh, while we're Sir Patrick Allen, look at his salary. Almost 200% increase, and his income will go to $34 million per year. And the question you have to ask yourself is this: for doing what? Okay. But there's something else. And it is this: the total budget allocated for the maintenance of the Office of Governor General and its staff for the current fiscal year, that's this fiscal year, 440 million Jamaican dollars. That's being spent on somebody who doesn't have your interest at heart. Right? And it says several sections of the society have criticized the expenditure as un. That no matter. They might get him money. They might get paid. Now, here is something else I need to show now. Want to work hard, especially the middle class people, work hard and have to pay taxes because there are consequences if you don't pay taxes. You must pay taxes, income tax, if you have a regular job. I mean, you should pay taxes. The requirement is that if you have any income, you're supposed to pay taxes. But some people they have income from unorthodox streams, so it's hard to track and trace those funds. But you work for a company, they're going to tax you. Now look at this. There shall be exempt from tax emolument incomes payable to the Governor General. So they got that $34 million. How do you feel now? Tisa, you're right. King Charles should pay this man. But that's not how it's written in the Constitution. Jamaican taxpayers have to pay him. So he pays no taxes. Meanwhile, you are struggle out there and don't pay rent. Him don't have no car payments. Him no pay for food. Him no pay for maintain the yard or the house. And him just get an elevator. I think 2 years ago, them build an elevator inside of him. All right? So let's continue. Oh, they have something called the Governor General's Diaspora Award. I wonder if he will give it I'm prayer. But I don't think he's going to give it to me. Started since 1991. They give it to somebody who demonstrated active and significant service towards the development of their community and to the development. So it has to be somebody in overseas who
and you say honesty, and you say honesty, honesty, and you say honesty, honesty, and you say honesty.
No, just share it. You share it for me. You share it for me. Okay. I'll show you which one it is. No. Yeah, see? Yes? Okay. Okay, cool.
Honesty, and you say honesty, honesty, say honesty, honesty. And you say honesty, honesty, and you say honesty, honesty, and you say honesty, honesty, and you say honesty.
Oh, Precious, I take all the music before YouTube flag. Yeah, my song, Precious. Vibing with the natural one. Big up yourself. I'm sorry, Rattigan must drink something. Yeah, I'm not have to drink.
Honesty, and you say honesty, honesty, and you say honesty, honesty, and you say honesty, honesty, and you say honesty.
All right, you know what? Just leave that, and then when we ready, my call it. Okay. Oh, I see. All right. Okay. All right.
Honesty.
Ready? It's been going on like this ever since I went, you know.
Honest, honesty. When you say honesty, honesty. When you say honesty,
Okay. Yeah.
honesty.
Well, let me
When
turn
you
this down.
say
Yes, people, family, if you can hear me, give me a signal, please. I don't see anything in the chat room saying that people can hear me. Yeah, I don't see. Is the chat room? Oh wait. Yeah, but there's not in the chat. Okay, because I'm asking them. Yeah, I'm asking them to send me some messages, but where? Oh, because I can't see. Sorry. Hello. Hello.
We hearing.
You're hearing me, right?
Yeah, we
All
hearing you.
right. All
I
right.
was
I'm back. I
texting
see. I see.
also.
All right. Thanks. All right. Yeah, Kevin. Thank you. All right. Now, folks, I need you to tell me if you can read the document, because if you cannot, I can magnify it. I'm up to 150% right now, but you need to tell me because I need you to see what I'm going to show you. So tell me if you can you read the document? Yeah, you can hear me. Oh, you can read it? I can hear you now. Yes. All right, good. All right, folks. No. All right, Kevin, let me jump off and jump on back. All right, thank you, my brother. All right. Folks, we have to big up Kevin. I mean, in a mighty, mighty way, because I'm telling you, I'm a dunce when it comes to this. And without Kevin, I'm completely lost. So big respect to Kevin. But anyway, let's jump back on this thing. Now, remember I was telling you that the Governor General is the de facto head of state in Jamaica, right? And that he represents the king. No, but let me show you else. I'll show you this because I have something else I want to show you. This one, this thing right here, where it says, firstly, the office of the Governor General is non-partisan and provides objective and independent guidance to the government of the day. Right? So the Governor General is supposed to be non-partisan and he's supposed to provide objective and independent guidance to the government of the day, no matter whether it's PNP or JLP. That's his job, right? Okay. Now let's go down a little more. Oh, remember I was telling you that. Oh, by the way, the Governor General is the only one in Jamaica who can issue a pardon. So if somebody gets charged with a crime or whatever, they have to. There's something called a Privy Council, but he is the man who is central to
Honesty, and you say honesty, 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 honesty, and you say honesty.
Okay. All right. Turn this on. Okay. I'm gonna bring this over, Kevin. Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna turn off. I'm gonna leave you now, Kevin. Come, I can't hear the music in the background. All right, cool. All right. Everybody can hear me? Please, please, family, give me a signal. Give me a signal. Yeah, man. Big up, Kevin. Okay. So everybody can hear me. Yes? Okay, good. All right. No, let me go back and let me go back to this thing here. All right. See this? And I hope you can see me because I magnify 200%. And if I go to 50, it's going to bleed over or bleed off the page. So you won't be able to see it, all the words. So I hope you can see what we're doing right here. This sentence says, at the start of each parliamentary year, the Governor General delivers the throne speech. Remember I'm showing you the 2016 one? In a joint sitting of both houses, in which government's program for the ensuing year is outlined. So everything that I told you that they said, the Governor General said that, oh yeah, this is what's going to happen in this year, meaning 2016. So those things, they haven't happened. And then at another time, I'll go into details and tell you why they haven't happened based on the Prime Minister's words, not mine, but that's for another time. So, or you can read it now. Good, good, good. So let's go. No, this one is interesting. Right here, it says, in response to citizens' correspondence, he, the Governor General, requests Her Majesty the Queen, which is His Majesty King Charles III, to graciously send greetings to Jamaicans who attain their centenary or who celebrate their 60th wedding anniversary. He sends his own greetings to them as well. So you know what now? My near behind me right outside, 39 Penwood Crescent, Mr. Guntley Williams, just turned 100 this past Tuesday, people. I think he's the oldest man in the Waterhouse. And I hope the MP, Anthony Hilton, is listening to me, because he need to reach out to the Governor General and say, listen, we need something from the King to acknowledge this man's 100th year anniversary. We need something from, because that's part of his job. He's supposed to do that. I mean, that's probably the only thing that he does for individual Jamaican citizens. But, you know, and it says that he's supposed to contact Buckingham Palace and get, basically it's a certificate, and, you know, with the King acknowledging the person's achievement, whether it's a wedding anniversary or age. And then the Governor General is supposed to send out his own greeting as well. How are this? No sound? Not hearing you, Sir Rattigan. My goodness gracious. If I call, you can see, no, may I hear him? Hold on. Can you hear me, folks? Can you hear me? I can hearing in Florida. I'm hearing. I'm going to write the king. Rat is sound good. I'm hearing. Good. So no, we're gonna get down in the nitty gritty. I mean, I hope them not really stop the program at this point. All right. No, here's where it getting. All right. That's a picture of the looking gentleman there. All right. Now, here the real lesson begins. This, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, family members, this is the Jamaican Constitution. Well, you see what it says right here? The Jamaica Order in 62 and Constitution in. Why? We'll get to that some other time, but we're focused today on the Governor General. So let's go back here. All right, let me see something. Let's go down. One second. Stay with me. All right. Can you hear me? Hearing very well. Good. Now, look at chapter 4. There's a chapter 4 in the Constitution, and it's entitled the Governor General, and it talks about the Governor General. But please do not think under any stretch of the imagination that this is the only chapter that deals with the Governor General and his powers. He's all over the Constitution, different chapters, different sections. But this is one that we need to pay attention to. Because you see what it says? It says in 27 right here. It's chapter 4, section 27. It says, there shall be a Governor General of Jamaica who shall be appointed by whom? Not the Prime Minister, not the leader of the opposition, not the people of Jamaica, but by Her Majesty. In this case, His Majesty. Well, this one was our present Governor General was appointed by Her Majesty, and shall hold office during Her Majesty's pleasure, and who shall be Her Majesty's representative in Jamaica. So I'm no representative, no. Who represent? Her Majesty, the monarch, right? Or the monarchy. Now, let's take that section. See another section. Okay. This section is chapter 5, and it's entitled Parliament, right? Part 1, Composition of Parliament. And what does section 34 says? It says, there shall be a Parliament of Jamaica which shall consist of. First, look at the first entity mentioned. First entity, Her Majesty, followed by a Senate and a House of Representatives. You cannot have Parliament if you don't have Her Majesty's, if you don't have Her Majesty being represented there. And her representation is going to be in the form of the Governor General. He doesn't represent you people, right? He doesn't represent you. Doesn't represent us, body in Jamaica, right? No, that's a 2016 speech. All right. No, let me go back up and show you something else. Now we know that Governor General represents the monarchy, represents the king, and that he's part of Parliament. He's the first entity mentioned in Parliament. No, look at this power. Look at this power. It says here, and let me just make sure. I hope you're writing this, chapter 4, the same one that says the Governor shall be appointed by Her Majesty and shall serve at Her Majesty's pleasure. No, that's chapter 4. That's chapter 4, section 20. Now let's go to chapter 4, section 32 and 3. Look at what that says. It says, where the Governor General is directed to exercise any action after consultation with any person or authority, he shall not be obliged to exercise that function in accordance with the advice of that person or authority. What does that mean? It means that if the Prime Minister comes to the Governor General and says, listen, I'm consulting with you and I need you to do the following things, right? The Governor General can tell him, get the hell out of King's house. I'm not listening to you. Look at this. Look at the second subsection 3. Look at the third line. It says, where it says, he meaning the governor general shall not be obliged to exercise that function in accordance with the advice of that person or authority. And if you go to the second line of subsection 3, where it says, well, start from the first, where it says the governor general is directed to exercise any, where did the governor general is directed to exercise any function after consultation with whom? With whom? Any person. What does any mean? Any means all. Right? Any person, including the prime minister, the governor general does not have to listen to him. And we're going to get to state of emergency, right? Does not have to listen to him. No, let's go to this one, sub 4. It says, where the governor general is directed to exercise, see that? Where he's directed, meaning that where he's supposed to exercise a function in accordance with the recommendation. Look how inclusive this language is. It says, where the governor general exercise any function in accordance with the recommendation or with the concurrence of, or after consultation with, or on the representation of any person or authority. The question whether he has so exercised that function shall not be inquired into in any court. Let me explain that. It means that where the Constitution says that the Governor General has to meet with certain people, the Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition, the Chief Justice, ministers, and do whatever is prescribed for him to do, he does not have to do it. He does not have to do it. And guess what? They cannot take him to court. Look at the very last line. Shall not be inquired into in any court. That means no Supreme Court, no Court of Appeals, no court. If the Governor General says, I'm not doing it, that's the end. That's the end of it. Now, here is something else. Okay. Now, family, we have to pay attention to this piece here, because this piece is the cherry on the top. Everything that I've just laid out for you is background, giving you who the Governor General is, how is he elevated to that position, and the limits of his power. Now we're going to talk about no sound. No sound. A lie. Sound? Talk to me, family. Family, talk to me. Oh, hearing, Tanisha. Good. All right. Now, pay attention. Pay close attention to what I'm about to show you, right? Now, this says, right, that, and it's giving definitions of things, right? And it says intervention means, court means, blah, blah, blah. Period of public disaster means any period during which there is enforced a proclamation by the Governor General declaring that a period of public disaster exists. What this means is that the Prime Minister cannot declare public disaster. He cannot, even if it happens, he cannot. He has to go to the Governor General, and the Governor General will then declare it or proclaim it. But the Prime Minister cannot do it. He's powerless to do that. Right? Now, next page. It says, you see the difference, right? This one says public disaster, period of public disaster. So now look at this one. Period of public emergency, like state of emergency, right? Now look at what it says. It says period of public emergency means any period Jamaica is engaged in war. Like the one where we are look where we are feast now. So at that point, once they go to once the soldiers go over there, if one of them get injured or God forbid, Jamaica can declare war. And then guess what happened? Impose a period of public emergency. The second one is that if there is enforced a proclamation by the Governor General to exist. I know some of you can't say the neither can I, but I know what it says. So I'll read it for you. There is enforced a proclamation by the Governor General declaring that a state of public emergency exists. So if the Governor General says it exists, but he doesn't say it exists in a vacuum, right? Third one, there is in force a resolution of each House of Parliament, supported by the votes of a 2/3 majority of all the members of each House, declaring that democratic institutions in Jamaica are threatened by subversion.
on Jamaica become.
All right. Thank you so much. Stay tuned because I have a bombshell to drop right at the very end.
I'm watching you. I'm watching, man.
All right. Thanks. Yes. Yes. Sound is good now. Yeah. Kevin, no good? Yes? No? Good. We're hearing again. All right. Hold on. Let me just double check with Kevin. I know Kevin, all right, hold on. Let me ask him, yeah. Kevin, you can't hear me? I'm back. All right, good. All right, thank you very much, sir. All right. All right, people, family, we're back. Oh, no sound? Okay. Hello? Microphone. Please give me a signal, somebody. Tell me you can hear me. Yes? No. Okay, you can't hear me. All right. No. Look at this thing here. Oh, wait a minute. I have to bring it to. Sorry. Okay. Now look at this. It says a proclamation made by the Governor General shall not be effective for the purposes of subsection 1. Everything I just talked to you about. It says all of that means unless these things coming now, unless these things are enforced, what we just talked about means nothing, right? And let me show you what we just talked about. Just as a reminder, we just talked about this, saying that for the period of public emergency, Jamaica must be engaged in a war, that there is in force a proclamation by the Governor General, and that this is subversion when people try to attack the government, right? So it says none of that means anything unless, right, the government is satisfied that a war between Jamaica and a foreign state, and somebody asks, any war? Yep. Or it says that action has been taken or is immediately threatened by any person or body of persons of such a nature and on so extensive a scale as to be likely to endanger the public safety or to deprive the community or any substantial portion of the community of supplies or services essential to life. That is not law enforcement. And here's the third one, that a period of public disaster has arisen as a result of earthquake, hurricane, flood, fire, pestilence, blah, 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 COVID-19. You can fit that inside here. They can call up state of emergency on that, right? So here's what happened. Let me go back up to, because let me go back up. Okay, I have something here. Keep going. Okay. Stay with me, people. Stay with me. All right. No, we're back to where we started earlier from the DHL note. No, if you remember, right, back in 2017, that there was an uptick in violence, and then a whole series of state of emergency, lots of them. I think at one point they had like 5 or 6 or 7, whatever, going on. In some places they had a state of emergency, and they had a Zozo. Both of them. A Zozo is nothing more than a state of emergency on steroids. That's what it is. What it means is that it's the same state of emergency where they can detain you and all these things, except that under Zozo, they're supposed to bring in social services. So they have a thing called clear, hold, and build. So they're going to clear the neighborhood of all the bad people. They're going to hold on to it, and then they're going to build it back so that the bad guys don't come back and take a foothold in the community. So what does that mean? It means schools. It means jobs. It means community centers. It means all of those things that will allow a community to thrive and succeed. But you need money for that, right? So in Parliament, they say, oh, this is a good idea. And then them say, oh, we don't have the money to do this all over the place. But when they started with the state of emergency and they started locking up people, what happened? And I'm going to show you that I don't care about what color you wear, what party you belong to. Right is right. Both, listen to me carefully now, both the PNP and the JLP agreed to a state of emergency on several occasions in 2017. And it continued until I think when it ended before Mark Golding came into, took over the leadership in 2020. So from 2017 to somewhere around 2018, 2019, for a long time, the PNP agreed with the JLP that there should be a state of emergency. Now, here is the cruelty of it. When, under the law, the Constitution, when the JLP, the government, when they say we want a state of emergency, they can impose it by themselves. They don't need the opposition. They can do it, but they can only do it, I think, for 10 or 14 days, 2 weeks. All right, 10 or 10, I think it's 10 or 14 days. It's in there, right? I don't want to go back down because it's going to take away from the message. But no more than 2 weeks it can last for. Then they have to go to the opposition and say, listen, we need you to sign on to this. No, when the opposition signs on, it's 90 days. So the government can do it for 10, but when they convince the opposition to sign on with them, it's an additional 90 days. They have up to, they don't have to take the full 90, but they have up to 90 days. Right? So what happened is both parties in 2017, they agreed, yes, we want the state of emergency. And they've rounded up a lot of people and they detained them, arrested them, but they didn't charge them. And that's the problem, right? Because they were using, and they continue to use, states of emergency as a law enforcement tool. And it's not a law enforcement tool. It was never intended to be a law enforcement tool. How do I know that? Because there was a court action. And the judge, see, I'm going full circle now. The judge says no. In one of the cases, the judge says no. States of emergency are, by nature, the way they're implemented, unconstitutional, meaning that you cannot do that. The Constitution doesn't provide for you to do that. And that's when the government appealed. And the Court of Appeal 2 weeks ago, they didn't even deal with the issue. They just said, as far as jurisdiction is concerned, we have no jurisdiction to rule on that. So now the government is left with two options. One is sit back and just pay people, or take it to the Privy Council. I'm waiting to see what they're going to do with that. I don't think they're going to go to the Privy Council with it. So right now, states of emergency have been declared unconstitutional. And all of the people who were detained and arrested under that draconian measure, they have some money coming to them. They have some money coming to them. No. Remember I told you that when you're looking for Rattigan, you don't have to look far to find him, because he does not hide behind people and he does not hide behind words. But now a pretty talk, me just tell you. And then you do what you want to do with it. Right? So somebody said, hey, we need to write to the king. We need to do this. We need to do that. You see this? You see where it went? Buckingham Palace. And you see who it came from? They should have put a comma right there. Last name first. Rattigan Wilfred. And it was delivered on Monday. No, folks. Don't tell me to lock me down here, no. Okay. Okay. All right. Come back. Come back. All right. Folks, I want you to take a look at this. I want you to take a look. You see that? What does it say? It says, His Majesty the King, Buckingham Palace, London, United Kingdom. Right? July 28th. And let's go through this little missive. Right? And my people, missive is just, the ones who are not aware of it, missive is just a fancy word for letter. You hear people say missive, it's just substitute the word letter. That's all it is. Now, let's read. It says, may it please your majesty, I write to you as a concerned Jamaican citizen who wishes to inform you of perceived violations of the Constitution committed by His Excellency, the Most Honorable Sir Patrick Allen, the Governor General of Jamaica. First paragraph, when them tell you about letter writing, that when you write a letter, state up front, what is it you're writing about? Right? Who you are and what you're writing about. Oh no. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Me no know today something mix up, man, because me still depend, you still depend on the Governor General or something.
Yeah, me still upon it. Yeah, you have to come back. Me have to finish up here now. You have to come back. All right. So, first paragraph, you say who you are, identify yourself, and identify what is it you're writing about. Okay. Second paragraph. Since 2017, the Governor General proclamation of states of emergency resulted in the unlawful and detention of Jamaican citizens who did not commit any crimes and were not charged. That is a fact. Further, the Governor General's actions have caused financial hardship to the Jamaican taxpayers who paid and continue to pay significant civil judgments. That is a fact. And most noteworthy is that from 2017 to early 2023, this year, the Governor General committed these unconstitutional acts in his capacity as the official representative of Her Majesty. That is a fact. And if you notice, I said early 2023 because the Queen was still alive, right? And I don't think he's declared any. I'm not sure if he's declared any since the King took over. I think the King took over in May. He was coronated in May. I don't think any has been. But if any of you, if you know of any state of emergency since the King was coronated, then please let me know. Now, here is where we get into the nitty-gritty of it, where I'm telling the King now that, listen, I'm not just saying out of, spite, or I'm not saying this out of emotion. I'm saying this, what I've said to you before, King, I'm going to prove to you factually why you should take a look at this. All right, here it is. The following provisions of the Constitution reflect the proper role, authority, and responsibility of the Governor General to proclaim states of public emergency. Because remember what I said, the Prime Minister has no power to proclaim a state of emergency, right? And remember, if the Prime Minister goes to the Governor General and says, I want a state of emergency, the Governor General has the ultimate power to say no. And he should have said no. Here's why. Chapter 5, Part 1 of Section 34 of the Constitution says, Parliament is composed of Her Majesty, a Senate and a House of Representatives. We talk chapter 4, section 27 says Jamaica will have a Governor General who shall be appointed by Her Majesty. And look at the underlined section. Hold office during Her Majesty's pleasure and be Her Majesty's representative in Jamaica. All right, we talked about that. But note the emphasis, though, that he serves at Her Majesty's pleasure, not the people of Jamaica's pleasure, because when they don't vote for him, not the Parliament's pleasure, Her Majesty's pleasure. No, His Majesty. Chapter 4, where the Governor General is directed to exercise any function after consultation, he shall not be obliged to exercise in accordance with the advice of that person, meaning that him don't have to listen to you. You can't tell him all till you're blue in the face. Him are the real big man. Him are the Governor General. Chapter 4, section 3 says, and when him don't answer you, when him don't do what you want him to, guess what? You cannot take him to court. You believe that? You cannot take him to court. So if the Governor General rule against you, there's nothing you can do except what I've done. Let's continue. It says, Chapter 3, Section 20, subsection 2, we went over that. The Governor General can only proclaim a state of public emergency where there is an imminent state of war between Jamaica and a foreign state, an insurrection, or public disaster. And the lower court, the Supreme Court, held that as well. Now, next paragraph, the Governor General, right, that's all. You can see it? Right, that's all. The Governor General is supposed to be non-partisan and expected to provide independence guidance to the government of the day. We saw that, and that came straight off of his website. Next sentence, and under Chapter 4, Section 32, subsection 4 of the Constitution, he has the discretion to summarily reject any government request for his proclamation of an act that violates said Constitution. So, then can I hear me? Nobody can hear me? Nobody can hear me? Hello? Connection problem? Kevin, help. Uh, good? Help, help. No, Kevin. Hello? Hello? Yes. Fine, thanks. No, I'm still on YouTube right now. They can hear me loud and clear. Yes, so you have to call me back. Yeah. All right, brother. All right, bye-bye. What is that now? Hello? Hello?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Oh, no, can you hear me? All right, good, 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 good. All right, make we continue. So now it says, so the governor general had the discretion to reject any government request, and he can request if he can reject it for any reason. He doesn't have to give a reason, but you would expect that something like the state of emergency, the governor general would say, well, PM, we can't really do this because you cannot use this for law enforcement purposes. This is something you can't use it for routine law enforcement purposes. Enhanced security measure. No, sir. Can't use it for that. Right? But I'm going to show you where the governor general read that speech and by adoption agreed to it. Now, here's what it says. The governor general plucked public emergency which he knew or should have crime fighting tool. Now, that's a very, very dangerous proposition. When you say to a leader that you knew about this, or you should have known, instant condemnation. Can't get out of that. All right. Oh no, I need to move this over, Kevin. Which one? Okay, all right, cool. All right. Well, the thing there, the chat. All right, click on it. I'm gonna click on it. All right, cool. All right. All right. Here I am back again. Right. Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Folks, me I tell you, no really have to big up. No, I know my system. Kevin, I know my system, you know. I know my system. The other, the outside thing. My system, fine. So, it's something from the outside. But anyway, we'll move on. No. So here it was happening. I said, this section right here, the attached excerpt from the Governor General's throne speech dated February 10, 2022 is instructive, meaning that him says something. We have a connection to what I'm saying, right, about the state of emergency. We'll get to that. Let's go to the next paragraph. In July 23, last month, right, the Court of Appeal rejected the government's appeal from a Supreme Court ruling that the tensions under the proclaimed states of public emergency were unlawful. So the government, as I said before, the Supreme Court ruled that the state of emergency was unlawful. The government appealed, and then last month, the Court of Appeal said, "No, we're not even going to listen to the case for jurisdiction for a different reason." But throw it out, right? So, and here it is. It says, for reasons beyond the scope of this, I'm a little bit of education I'm get, but a lot of the people who support me, Waterhouse, Whitfield, Towile, Meadowbrook, big up to all of them. For reasons beyond the scope of this missive, the appeal court rejected appeal based on. Oh, God. Hold on there.
Yes, right. You're not hearing me again. It's acting up again.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. Oh, my goodness. All right, let me call Kevin again. No, don't get to the Kamina part at all because we can't continue like
yeah,
this.
man, I have to hear that. I have to hear that.
All right, cool.
All right, yeah.
All right. Kevin, where are you? Can you hear me now? Everybody can? No audio. All right, cool. Hold on.
Hear me now, everybody can.
Yeah, can you?
No, right to be hearing you.
Yeah, you hear me. All right, good.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right. Yeah. Hello?
You are on.
No, good. Thank you. All right. So here's what happened now. So, like we said, in July 2023, right or so, the Court of Appeal rejected the government's appeal. And as I was saying, there was a Supreme Court, because remember, you have the Supreme Court and you have the Court of Appeal, which is a higher court, right? So the lower court, the Supreme Court, one judge ruled that it was unconstitutional. So the government appealed, and the Court of Appeal turned them down last month, right? And I said, for reasons beyond the scope of this letter, the appeal court rejected the government's appeal based on lack of jurisdiction over the government, right? And the lower court decision about law. All right. So here's the case. Please see Minister of National Security et al. Versus Everton Douglas et al. Meaning et al. means it was the national security and a couple other ministries, I think one ministries, and it wasn't Everton Douglas by himself, it was Everton and others, right? Our note is that significant have been rendered against the government for unlawful detention under the Governor General's proclamation of states of emergency. Look at the last sentence. Stated that additional civil judgments will be awarded by settlement or court decision. So taxpayers, loose up on the pocket and get ready to pay some money. All right? And una pay some money, not because of anything that you did. You pay money because of something that a man who had the power, has the, right? Not past tense. A man who has the power to refuse and reject these unlawful requests, he did not. Here it is. The Governor General's proclamation, meaning that anybody can see it, unconstitutional and should not be counted. Nice phrase, but all it says is that what he did was wrong, and King, you can't make this go so. You can't make it go so. You know, somebody said the king don't care, but we care. And look, this is an avenue, and we have to explore it. And I'll explain to you what the king might or might not do when we finish. It says, although chapter 4, section 32, subsection 4 of the Constitution shields the governor general from judicial scrutiny. No, chapters and things like that. But this section, this chapter and section and subsection is the one that says that if the governor general refuses to do whatever he's required to do, you cannot take him to court. So you see what I said? Although that section shields him from judicial scrutiny, it shields him from a judge examining his decision. Look at the second part of the sentence. It offers him no protection in the presence of your majesty because he serves at your majesty's pleasure. So while a court might not take any action against him, your majesty, you have the right. You are the big boss. You are the boss. You are the big boss. You can deal with him. You can sanction him. Let's go on. Here it is. Today, Jamaican citizens find themselves in a dire unenviable position under the Constitution. Only you, your majesty, can provide direct and immediate relief. No court can do that. No prime minister can do that. No judge can do that. No politician can do that. Only the king can take action against the governor general. And here is a part. That's the concluding message and request. Therefore, your majesty is kindly requested to review the matter and take appropriate the Constitution, result abrogation, abridgment, or infringement of the fundamental rights of the Jamaican people. Yours truly, who? Rattigan. Right? So what I said to the king is that, listen, only you can discipline this man. Only you can take affirmative steps to curb his wayward behavior. His ignorance, because he should know that you can't do this, you can't do the state of emergency. He should know that. And he's what he's doing at the end of the day, think about it. At the end of the day, the prime minister can only ask. The cabinet or whatever, they can only ask. They can't tell the governor general what to do. They can only ask. The term they use for him is proclamation. He can proclaim a state of emergency. No one else in Jamaica can. No one. And so if the king says, you know what? No, sorry, not the king. If the governor general says to the prime minister, Mr. Prime Minister, I don't subscribe to the notion that a state of emergency is an enhanced security measure and should and can be used to deal with an uptick in crime. No, come up with a crime plan that's effective and deal with crime. I cannot sign off on these things willy-nilly, as you're coming. I cannot do that. Guess what happened? The prime minister has to walk away with his tail between his legs because there's absolutely nothing he can do. Nothing. No. Getting to the point of what will the king do? Somebody says, oh, the king not going to do nothing. Well, I tell you when the king will do absolutely nothing, when you don't express yourself. When you don't express yourself, the king can say, I never know. You never say anything. When you express yourself, because this is an avenue that they've given you. They've said, listen, if you're dissatisfied with your governor general, you can write to the king because the king is his boss. You can write to the king and let the king straighten him out. Right? No, what will the king do? I don't know. I don't know. But here's what I do know. I do know that somebody somewhere has to write to the king and say, we're asking for justice. And as Anthony Grant said, nothing tried, nothing done. You know, if you have two left foot and you play football, means you can't play, right? And if you never ever take a shot at goal, you are 100% sure that you will never score. 100% sure you will never score. If you never take a shot at goal, if you never try, you will never score. With your two left foot, them as we say, although the proper language is feet, but two left foot. You take a shot, you never know. The goalie might underrate and slip and the ball going. You never know. So people, we have to take them opportunities when they present themselves to us. This is an opportunity. I wish 100,000 could have do exactly what me do and right. In fact, I believe that this is probably the first time that a letter has been sent to Buckingham Palace complaining about the Governor General. If it's not the first time, it's one of the few times. It's something that's rare. It's not something that, and I don't say this in a way to be boastful about it. I say it because I don't want to do this, but I have to do it. And I have to do it because you know why? First and foremost, the people them back at me. The people them back yourself. And then all I want, because in 1992, when we signed on, this is what we signed on for. And that's why I said to you, I acknowledge it, but I encourage you to go and read the Constitution. I am absolutely sure that a lot of you are seeing some of these things, hearing about some of these things for the very first time. And it's been there in plain view for decades. But on enough worry, because that's my job. My job is to defend the people of Jamaica against any and all enemies. If you're not doing right for the people of Jamaica, then you're my enemy. You're my enemy. Because this is what's been going on. And nothing has been said. And so I am kindly asking the king, as I said, if you notice, I didn't say to the king, fire him. I didn't say to the king, suspend him. I didn't say to the king, cut him pay. I said nothing of the sort. I said, take appropriate action. And that's proper language. You can't tell the king what to do. But when you say, please take appropriate action, him know what that means. The king know what that means. Because the king has been a diplomat from him IDMD. So him know what that means. The Governor General, me sure him I hear about this tonight or tomorrow. And him going quick in him boots. Because him don't know when that call going to come. If it going to come, him don't know when it going to come from Buckingham Palace. Him don't know. The cable, the letter, him don't know. It might never come. But people, the exposure. The fact that we now know that the Governor General is in cahoots with the Prime Minister to impose this draconian measure on our people. And by extension, the PNP was a part of this in the beginning. Let's not forget that. We are talking about our people and our freedom and our rights. That's what we are talking about. Ruthless asks for the king number. But look, the trolls and everybody like that. Any well-meaning, well-thinking Jamaican, anybody who means Jamaican well, whether you're PNP or Labour Right or UIC or Independent or whatever, you cannot argue with these facts. You cannot. Cannot. These are facts. I want somebody to come and tell me that, Mr. Rattigan, you misread the Constitution. Because by telling me that, what they're also saying is that the judge in the Supreme Court, he misread the Constitution too. And the appeals court. Right? The whole away. So that's why I appeal to people. I appeal to the trolls. I appeal to people from different parts. I appeal to them and I say, listen, if you have an issue with something I've said, let's sit and reason together. That's why the program name Reason with Rattigan. It no name Fight with Rattigan, Cuss Rattigan. You know, none of that. Let's reason. Let's talk about the facts. Because as they say, you have a right to your opinion, but you don't have a right to the facts. Can't change facts as you feel like. No, Facts happen. And then based on your perception, you interpret, misinterpret, or whatever. But facts, as we are saying down our waters, facts stand predominate, right? It's not a wolf, this are facts. Facts. So that is my presentation, people. I have another one on oh, hold on a second. Let's talk about something else having to do with the Constitution. We don't want to really leave this thing with the Governor General. We want the Governor General to understand that we understand what his role and his responsibility, what they are under the Constitution. And we want him to align himself, right? We want him to align himself with his role and his responsibility, and not just jump in bed with, every politician. And when I say politician, let's not mince words. It's the prime minister who will go to him and ask for that. The prime minister or whoever he. Oh, you like the signature? Somebody send the signature, boss. Bless up the teacher, them a ball more, I'm made of broke. So, we need him to understand that he cannot just take things from the prime minister and just willing it, because he has tremendous power and he has to exercise it. He has to exercise those powers. And he should not be lazy about it. He should not be lazy, because if you think about it, there are maids, let's be honest, there are maids, domestic worker, working 3 times, 4 times, 10 times as hard as the Governor General. You have people at his beck and call. Oh, Professor John Lennon would have killed me if I never mentioned this. Remember I told you folks that he was getting $441 million for this fiscal year. And there's somebody in the chat who said that it was sickening. Right? It was sickening. Hold on a minute. Hello?
Oh, good. Thank you. All right. So here's what happened now. So that was in July 2023, right or so?
Hello.
Patrick?
Yes, man. I'm calling from Jamaica. Now I'm hearing you all right.
Oh, yeah. But hold the line, Patrick. Hold the line. Come here, take some calls. But let me just make this one other point, right? There was a lady in the chat who said that she was getting sick of listening to how much money.
No, I'm just calling to tell you that we are here. I'm hearing you all right from Jamaica.
Oh, all right, Patrick. Thank you so much, my brother. Big up yourself.
Yes, man. Yeah, man.
All right, cool.
Yes, man. We are hearing you all right. It can crack up something a little bit, but we are still hearing.
Okay, good. Thank you so much for the call.
All right, brother. All right. Thanks for the work that you are doing. All right, sir.
Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Anytime. I'm at your service.
We need you. We need you. So make sure you know that you're the next security minister for Jamaica.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, my boss. I want to call to talk to you about something, but one at a time.
All right, my brethren. All right. No, remember I said, and there's a lady who said that she was getting sick just listening to the amount of money that Jamaican taxpayers giving to this man. Look at how unfair this is. You're paying him $441 million, and that's for his office. And then he gets 30-something million, right? But he doesn't represent you. Oh, somebody said make him pay it back. But he doesn't represent you. You see how unjust and unfair that is. And we signed on to that in 1962. Nobody making it, no fuss about it. But here is something else. And I'm sorry if I'm going to let the young lady feel sick, but I must say it. I said his office will receive $441 million this fiscal year. Well, ma'am, if you're going to feel sick about an increase, then please just get off the chat, because what I'm about to say is going to really make you sick. So I'll give you 5 seconds. Just get off the chat. 5, 4, 2, 1, 0. Okay. That 441 million for this year has been increased to 490 million Jamaican dollars. Increase already. We have what? 4 more months to go in the year, and it's increased already from 441 to 490. You're right. For what? For what? And then when do him press way along with the government, him said, no, lock up them boy, put out the state of emergency, and him agree with it. And him agree with it time and time and time and time and time again. When was the last time you hear the Governor General says, no, I'm not signing that? When you ever hear the Prime Minister said, oh, yeah, we went to the Governor General and he refused to proclaim a state of emergency. You hear that? No. But look how much money we are paying him for oppress with people them. Down the south, Waterhouse, where I come from, state of emergency, Tivoli, Denham Town, all part of St. James, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. Catherine, St. Elizabeth, St. Thomas. We can't afford to make these kinds of things go on. We cannot, Jamaican people, wake up. Wake up. We have a police commissioner who has very little idea. I'll give him some credit. Not much. He has very little idea about what his job is, what he's supposed to do. He has very little idea. He's surrounded by all kinds of advisors. The blind leading the blind. Meanwhile, the people suffer. The book says, where there's no vision, what happens? People perish. And we have so-called leaders with no vision. Them can't see. Them blind. I mean, they're sighted, but them blind. No foresight. No critical thinking. And they'll tell you that they went to some of the best schools and they have some of the biggest degrees. Educated fools. Yeah, bright ideas. You're right. Florizel Glasspool. Yeah, I lived in Jamaica when he was GG. Right? Educated fools. So we have the police commissioner, right? We have the prime minister. The prime minister, look, I try to make judgments about people when I have the facts. And I have enough facts. And you too, family, you have seen the evidence. You've been witnesses to all of this. The misconceptions, the lies, the deceit, all of these things done by the prime minister. Let's be truthful. That's the only way we can move on. Let's be truthful and hold people accountable. The prime minister has misrepresented facts to us. And at times, he's lied to us. How can he be trustworthy? And then we have a governor general. I won't describe him the way my friend Jeffrey Tavares described him, but it's an appropriate description. You must listen to Mekwe Talk with Jeffrey Tavares whenever him start talking about the governor general and you hear his description. And at the end of the day, they go to bed at night and they sleep very well. All of them. All of them sleep very well. And they promise you that you too will sleep well. But are you? Are you? Don't lie to me. Better yet, don't lie to yourselves. You know what's going on in Jamaica. And it's time we stop this foolishness about partisan politics. It's time you start looking at your children, your family. It's time you start asking about the promised opportunities, the promised, what do you call it, prosperity. I heard the Prime Minister last year at the JLP conference stood up and said that the JLP party is about moving people from poor class into middle class. How many of them may move? Secret society run things, Pedro. Yeah, but you know what? Because we allow it to happen, Pedro. We are more powerful. We are more numbers than they are. And when I say they are, look, I'm preaching, I'm reaching out to police officers, I'm reaching out to the JDF members. They too are suffering. Their families are suffering. We can't distance ourselves from them. Because if the movement is supposed to change hearts and minds, it has to include everyone. Sufferers. Right? Ask these people, how do you sleep at night? Ask them. Caller, welcome. Please, the floor is yours. Hello?
Hello. Welcome. Yes, Ratty.
Yes.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, sir.
You asked the question, how if he has moved anybody from one stage to the other. Yes, man, we move. We move from middle class to lower class.
Oh, no. There you move. But remember what he said. He said he's going to move you from the poor class to the middle class. So the movement is in the opposite direction.
Yes, man, we move, yes, but not the other direction.
Yeah, it's the wrong direction.
We move the other direction from middle class to lower class.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I would be the first to tell you that. And I've corrected people. I said to them, listen, Andrew Holness, the Honorable Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, is my Prime Minister as well. He's not a JLP Prime Minister. He's the government of Jamaica.
That's true.
He's the Jamaican Prime. And so I take it as my personal duty to support whoever occupies that seat, to say, we need to support the Prime Minister. We need to support whoever the Prime Minister is. We need, once the elections are over, we can discuss and we can commiserate and we can talk about the election and we can vote. But once the elections are over, then the person who is declared in Parliament to be elected to be the Prime Minister, right, from the winning party, we have to support that person, because by extension, a rising tide lifts all ships. We have to support that person, but you cannot support foolishness. So when you see where you've offered suggestions and the person has, the person is in a state of ignorance or arrogance, and the person just simply refuses to listen to you, to listen to reason, at some point you have to call for the removal. And what the Prime Minister will tell you, and he said it, is that, if you want to remove me, then election time. Even though in 2016 he says there will be fixed term limits for the office of the Prime Minister. Even though he said that in 2016.
He can't do that, because you must do that when you know that you set up a position that you are no longer the forever in leadership position. After you do that promise, I'll go back and read it over. You realize that, this don't look good at all. We can't do this. Because if I do that, I can't trick the people again and tell them, say,
well, I tell you what, I tell the people, he might go come with like a bike now or something, but you know what? He can't come with no more clocks, see my clocks, I know. And my clocks, better than film clocks, because you see my clocks are bank robber. See that? And look, my clocks, look at my clocks, brand spanking new. That clocks, and have that clocks about 8 years now. 8, 9 years,
Yeah.
right? But this is just a
Yeah.
reminder. This clock is a reminder of where me come from, behind me, right? This clock is a reminder. But him can't fool people with no more clocks. Them days are done.
You know, if you see, I don't know if you see it, but they start giving free gas to all taxi man now.
Yeah, me see it. Me see the free gas to all taxi man. What the taxi people I'm supposed to say is that where was the free gas a year ago, 2 years ago, going back to 2016? Where's the free gas? People, listen. But here's the thing: I am asking the taxi drivers to take the free gas. Take it. But
Yes,
you know
sir.
what to do. You know what to do. Take the free gas, but don't let the free gas cloud your memory. Do not let it cloud your memory. Things happen that you should never forget. So if them think them can come give you free gas and it wipe away all the sins that they've committed over the years, they make a sad mistake.
Yeah. But remember that we trouble on something they call amnesia, you know? We trouble on something they call amnesia. Every 3 years, they knock me out again with the Kool-Aid.
Well,
so we forget what happened for the past 3 years.
No, well, this time we're going to tell the people, take the Kool-Aid, take the free gas, take the $5,000, take the t-shirt, take the 2-piece chicken, take the baseball cap, take whatever them give you. But you know what to do because you're going to vote your conscience this time. You're going to vote on issues that affect your family, your community, and your country. And that's my job, to educate people. And at the same time, receive an education from people because it's not a one-way street. It's not a one-way street. I'm here to learn as much as I'm here to provide an education. I'm here to learn as well.
Yeah, well, I like the thing about the way they touch the Constitution there, the position of the Governor General.
Yeah.
And that is what I was saying a couple of weeks ago when I called the program. I said, since the Governor General is not our Governor General, it's not a Jamaican Governor General, it's the Queen representative. We should give them back the Governor General and do full thing.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, my brethren.
All
Well,
right.
look, thanks for the call.
All right.
Thanks for the continued support, and I'm at your service.
Yeah.
All right, brethren. Take care. Yes, people. The line is open now, because we won't get time to do it. Oh, see. Hello, caller. Go ahead, please.
Very good evening, Mr. Rattigan. Thank you for your patience, for being with us, for fighting through the challenges, boy. But one thing I realize, the members online are faithful.
Yes.
I'm a little concerned, a little disturbed. And
yes.
The more I think about it, Mr. Rattigan, my mind just go all over. So guess what? The first one I want to put here, look at this catch-22. Suppose we were a republic where all authority resided here in Jamaica. There was no room for appeal anywhere. What would we be doing when this government corrupt every single arm of government and them affiliates? What would we do? A coup?
Mm-hmm.
What would we do?
All right. Let me answer that question. First of all, they have to decide what type of government it is, because my understanding is that there are like 5 types of Republican governments, right? And so they have to come and they have to explain to people which one it is that they're proposing that Jamaica should subscribe to. Or if they're just saying, here's the option and we put it out in the referendum, they're not quite sure what they're doing. And part of that is because they don't know what they're doing. And I'll give you an example. You see, recently, they extended the service of the Auditor General and the DPP from 60 to 65, right? Now, the Constitution provides that the DPP can leave at 60, and however, they can give an extension. The government, along with the consultation of the opposition, they can give an extension of up to 5 years. Now they gave her 3 years, and the Constitution provided for only one extension. She got that extension, right, to 63. Mm-hmm. And now look at what they did, which is very telling. Look at what they did. Civil service, there's a civil service regulation that says they can serve up to 65, right? The Constitution is the preeminent law of the land. Every
Correct.
law must come in compliance with the Constitution, not the other way around. But you see what they
Correct.
did? They changed the Constitution to come down and meet with the civil service regulation, right?
But you see, they do that because
and
we're
here,
ignorant.
huh?
That we're ignorant. That's why
Oh,
they do it.
and here's
you
the
know,
thing.
if you weren't
That-
here, you know,
Yeah.
Huh.
And here
you're
what happened.
ignorant.
Here's the thing: the dominance of the Constitution itself over all other laws that comes under the provision called specially entrenched, which means that you have to have certain consultations, and you have to have a certain voting formula, right?
Like a referendum. For certain serious matters, the entire country
Yeah,
has to vote.
right. But with this one, it says that, and I'm looking at something here, it says that specially entrenched provisions may be amended by, maybe, doesn't have to be, but may be amended by the same procedure as entrenched provisions. But additionally, for their amendment, the support of the majority of those voting in a national referendum held within a specified period after passage of the amendment bill is required. So if this is correct, what I'm reading,
Yes.
the idea that you're going to change the Constitution to come down to meet to be in alignment with a civil service regulation, then that should
Yes.
be put out to the people to decide. Like you said
There you
before,
go.
that should be in a referendum.
There you go.
But it wasn't,
Well,
and
we're in
nobody
a
making
box
it
of
nice.
bricks.
Nobody making it nice about it. And I'm telling you, I wasn't an exceptional student at Balma G Primary School. I was a good speller, but I wasn't an exceptional student. I went to Meadowbrook and I
Yes.
wasn't an exceptional student. I went to school in New York and I wasn't an exceptional student. Right? I went to law school. I wasn't. I'm just an average guy. So how is it that I can see these things and they can't see it?
They don't want to see it, Mr. Rattigan. They don't want to see it
I think you're right.
because it doesn't suit them. It's all about expediency and opportunism. No principles, no values. But you see, what I want to talk to you a little bit about, Mr. Rattigan, before I go, because I know we have a captive audience. We have to ensure people that we get back to a state where we are united. That is what is killing us. And you know, the culture has been steeped towards getting here now. They're happy, you know, when no civics is taught in schools, you know. Because your sense of civic responsibility, where you understand why you're a citizen, what you ought to be doing, what your rights are, nobody knows. And both parties are guilty of having sat by while it is out of the schools.
Mhm.
But right now, this current administration is reaping the benefits of our collective ignorance.
I agree.
They are reaping the benefit of our collective ignorance. And I've seen this culture because I hear you causing me to have nostalgia. Because it's a Jonestown, Lincoln Road, Kencat kind of man. Come through the thing.
Yeah, man. Yeah, one of
And
my
listen,
people. Mhm.
I went back down memory lane. I just went right back with you. I just was there. And I'm saying, I remember when I was talking in the barbershop yesterday about it. I remember when we were the people, the poor people, who used to say, uptown people, them not clean. Uptown people, them not honest. But we clean and we honest, although we poor.
Right. Right.
Our existence, our environments were clean. And when I look and see how we dirty up and nasty up Jamaica, it is telling me something about where we have deteriorated to as a population. And it is the very same mindset that causes us to be like that, that makes us so easily managed. That's what does it. Because nobody don't stand up for nothing.
Right.
You put a man in a power and him say, him come and stand and say, me now stop the man from do this. Me now bad mind the man. So in Jamaican parlance, what that means is scam all you want. Scam all you want. I'm fine. But
Right.
guess what? It allows me to scam even more.
Right.
So all of a sudden, you are dealing with a small scale scamming. You make him do me a scam, and then one day you wake up, and we have a multi-billionaire scammer.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, you couldn't scam your way around the taxes. You couldn't scam your way around. You can't scam your way and give yourself 200%. So we have to understand this big picture, and we're too easily, we're too gullible.
True.
Oh, me I give prosperity. And everybody just jump fit me, Mr. Rattigan, trust me. But as I say, they know what they are doing, and we are the ones who are blind. Because they know that that kind of mentality is what they can play on. They know if we are never united, nothing will change and they'll be in control.
I agree
It
with
is
you.
good for us to have these platforms because it caters to getting the information out. Right now, there are people all over the diaspora listening, but I'll tell you, nothing is as powerful as seeing 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 people out in the streets. I mean, I say, mash up nothing, you know.
Right.
Out in the streets, so when the foreign press see those images and send them all over the world. I see they had an issue in Israel the other day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the man them do? Everybody have an Israeli flag, and when you're looking at the road, what Israeli flag? It was peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
And within days, the parliament have to bow to them.
Nothing like people
And
power.
we're not doing that.
Nothing like people power, my brethren. Anyway, thank you for so much for the call. Keep in touch.
And
all
thank
right?
you for being yourself. We need you right now, and you're enlightening me as we go along. Coming on the time, you work a struggle too.
All right. How
I'm
much
the
is...
next thing we are struggling with them, not the time. So I'm
All right. Let me,
and really supporting and looking forward to it.
yeah. All right, my brethren. Let me take this call out. Take care now. Be well.
Well-
Yes, caller. Go ahead, please.
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, my buddy. How you doing, man?
Let me tell you, brother, 6 hours plus, right?
Mm-hmm.
The interruptions, the back and forth. Poor Kevin, I feel for him.
Yeah. I feel big up.
But let me tell you, I've been working in the background trying to get your attention. But Gary is, well, I shouldn't call no names. We got some people on the case that is trying to scan the network to see who's doing the jamming, because we're convinced it only takes somebody with a laptop and a jammer driving around your location. They figure out where you are, they drive around your location, and they can jam that signal. Right? And they're doing it intermittently, and they're being brazen. They're hanging around longer than usual. So if he's able to see any unauthorized IP addresses popping up on your network, right? He has to identify your network, and then he has to look for anything other than your ID and your station network ID, IP address, right? And anything else he sees there, then he knows that's the third party doing the jamming. Right. But this is ridiculous, right? They're not letting you speak. They don't want you to speak.
I know.
Right? So you know, I mean, I'm saying, my God, these people are relentless. But you see, the fact that you've been going and going and going, I mean, you're keeping them busy.
Oh yeah. Overtime, no overtime.
Overtime, yes, much overtime. But I want to say greetings to your relentless audience. Yeah. They don't give up easily. No. They want to hear the truth, and when you speak, that's what you're delivering to them, right? It's absolutely fantastic that they're out there and they're like that. I have to take my hat off to each and every one of them who has stuck it out for over 6 hours. Because they're committed. You know, they are truly committed. But the thing that I would say to you is this.
Okay.
No matter what they do, it's obvious, more than obvious, we'll have their attention. And the more we stick them, right, what we can do and what they can't intercept is put out a printed newsletter to confirm what our discussion was about each and every Saturday. So people can see what they were jamming, what they're trying to stop. And I don't know if we can put it out into the chat. It might be difficult to do that because the chat limits how many words. I've tried putting stuff out in the chat, and it breaks it up into like 3 different separate chat transmitted out there. So I don't know if, because you're the controller, if you can put out a document in the chat and they're able to copy it and download it.
You know,
Right.
there's a computer expert I worked with when I was on the continent, and
Yeah.
outstanding FBI employee, and she's very familiar with stuff like this. So I'm going to be talking to her this week and see
Yeah.
what can be worked out. Yeah.
Well, I can't hear you.
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm finished. Yeah, yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you give me a call, man. You know, it is. But the
No, the reason I didn't call in earlier, I say, with you losing so much time, your listeners need to hear from you, and and you need to get this out.
right.
Right. But I figure it's the end of the afternoon. No, it's a good time to call.
No, I appreciate the call, man. You know it is, and I was hoping that you and John would probably join. And I mentioned that in the beginning, that even though we're gonna do a presentation, you guys, I said, look, the invitation is there. You guys can just jump on, anytime, not a problem.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but with I think it was important for them to hear you and to hear from you on specifically the Governor General, right? Something else I've done that I didn't tell you, I sent the complaint to the City of London, to alderwoman, I should say, sitting on the council there. And I'm hoping that she will pass it to her friend, who is Baroness Scotland.
Oh, okay. I know the woman. I know the older woman you're talking about.
Right.
I know her.
So when Baroness Scotland sees what's going on, she will see the people she's up against. She'll see what she prevented from getting into office. And she'll be happy that you're taking up the cause. Right? So I think it's important for your listeners to know that it's reaching up there, and I'm hoping it gets to the Vice President of the United States office as well. I'm trying to engineer that, but we'll see how that works out.
All right, my brother. Well, look, thanks for the call, and we'll touch base tomorrow.
All right, cool.
All
right, blessings.
All right.
Blessings to all your listeners as well.
Thanks, man.
Right.
Thanks on your
Take
behalf.
care.
Bye-bye. Yes, folks. Hello, caller. Go ahead, please.
I did not even know that you got back on. I've been searching. I said, well, he just gave up. But anyway, the funniest thing about this whole thing is that they needed not to poke the bear. And my grandmother used to say, when you see ants nest, do not go mess with ants nest. Because when you mess with ants nest, they're going to bite you up. And I think that what happened is that they have been messing with the ants nest. They poked the bear. And now they're like, damn, how do I undo what I started? Because I cannot take any more bites. And I cannot take this going up against this bear. So, but you know what? We have big, broad backs.
Oh, yeah.
And we're ready to take them on. So just, you know what? you just roll with the punches and say, you're ready? One at a time. You see how that girl, I mean, it's nothing to joke about, but the girl at the hotel, how she does SWAT, how she does SWAT off, that's how we gonna do them. We just gonna SWAT them off. When we're gonna take one at a time, we're gonna use the law to take them down one at a time. Just boom, boom. And that's what we're gonna have to do. They cannot stop us. They should have learned not to poke the bear. Everybody is now sick and tired of the corruption. And I still have one favor to ask.
Sure, go ahead, please.
When you and Andre and Isaac gone just, because we need one new party. We need a new party. We need one new party. And that me come for ask about tonight. How would I get the new party going? Because we need it for now. When this new election come up, we need to be on it.
Yeah. Well, let me talk to them. Let me talk to them. I spoke to Andre today. I spoke
Yeah, because I told him, I
yesterday.
said he haven't. I sent him a message. I said you need to help him because he keep on getting kicked off. Tell a
Mhm.
producer or somebody to reach out.
Yeah, that's exactly what
But
they did. They reached out to me and asked me if it offered his producer's assistance.
yes, because I said to him, you keep on getting kicked off.
Yeah,
But it's just too much now. And the other thing that I am, and I said that to you, is about Hague. Like, what can we
I saw
bring
that.
towards Hague? Because if we deal with the DPP down there, whether it's corruption with high society or PMP or JLP, we're not going to get anything done.
Right, right. And there was a lady in the chat who said that the judge ruled on the constitutionality of the
Yes.
DPP's extension. Now, here is my take on that, right? Just because
Hmm.
one judge ruled on it, it doesn't mean it's right. You can always
Exactly.
appeal
And
it.
we need to appeal it.
My words exactly. You
we
can always
need
appeal
we
it
need to appeal it
because
and let the appeal go all the way to the Privy Council.
yeah, because the it's and I'm looking at a document here. It says special entrance provisions include those relating to, and one of them is the dominance of the Constitution itself over all other laws. Over all other laws. So it would appear as if they're saying, well, we have the Civil Service Act, and it goes up to 65. The Constitution says 60 with a possible extension up to 65. Well, the Civil Service Act, it makes it firm that they go up to 65. The Constitution says 60, and then you need an extension. Well, we're going to change the Constitution. That's not the way it should be. That's not the way it should
Exactly.
be.
But not only that, you're changing it only when it benefits you, because
Exactly.
look at the whole thing with with wholeness with the Ministry of Education. We couldn't bring they weren't going to bring any charges because it was 12 years or whatever they want to call it. Now, with this police guy, they're going to bring it. It's 12 years. I used to do HR.
Mhm.
And there's no way you can bring back something that happened way long time unless you had brought it to the attention of the employee. It was never brought to him, so therefore you cannot bring it up. You can't keep a file on him and say, oh, something happened 12 years ago. Let me use it now.
That argument that you've made is asinine, because he could have genuinely have medical issues back then. But if you notice, they didn't say it continued past 12 years. I mean, it continued to present. They didn't say that. But
Exactly.
another issue that's even more pressing is the fact that they've released confidential information about this man's personal
And
records.
that is where the cookie gets really nasty. And I hope that he brings a lawsuit against it would be the Jamaican Constabulary Force,
Yes.
because that's where the HR is, and the Ministry General, because that's in government, that's the head for HR. But
Nico,
there needs
they start up something. There are some people that say, "Yeah, we really need a new party."
but it's true. I told you this already. This is not the first time I tell you this. Listen, you can't keep on
No.
going and try to do the same thing over and again, because only thing we're doing, we're swap, excuse the French, we're swap monkey for black dog. And
Mhm.
we keep on doing it. We keep on flipping and flopping, and we're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere. And right now, it's so funny because it was yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, oh, how you don't say anything about the hotel? I said, I am sick and tired of having discussions without action. I said, here are the four things. And you know what my four things are? And I said it to him. I said, my thing is, there are four basic principles I think that every human being is entitled to on the face of this earth: health, shelter, food, and education.
Mhm.
I said, which one of those four tenets you want to work on with me? If you're not working on any of them with me, I don't need to have a discussion with you about anything.
Mhm.
And because right now we can't sit down and wait. And I said, it doesn't take where we're going, because I cannot say that I can tackle the whole entire Jamaica, make the whole. But if every single person is from a parish and decide, you know what, let me just do for my parish, if everybody go ahead and attack it that way and say, okay, I'm from Hanover, I'm going to take on Hanover. I'm from St. James, I'm going to take on St. James, and so forth. And you just take on that one parish. And if everybody come in and do something about that one parish, we would not be sitting and having a conversation right now.
Yeah, Mr. Brams. Everybody at say, Stevens, Buchanan, and Rattigan Curry come together. That will be a win. Radam. And a
Exactly,
whole bunch, a
exactly.
whole bunch of
That would
people.
have been
A whole bunch
no,
of
that
people.
wouldn't be a radam. That wouldn't be a radam. That wouldn't be a radam. That's a more than radam. That's a be World War III. That's an atomic bomb.
A lot of people take sides with your sentiment, and a lot of people say, "Yeah, we need
Yes.
somebody. We need an
I
alternative."
mean, this is serious. There's no way. I mean, we all have to decide if we have a charter flight and everybody, partner is good for something. Who don't have the money to pay right away? Let we say partner. And if we start say a campaign and say, okay, then I can afford $50, but you can only afford $1 towards the cause. Then you give $1.
Right.
It's one cocoa full basket.
Exactly.
But we have to do something. We cannot sit down every day and keep on having these discussions, because a discussion without action is dead.
I agree. Anyway, Nicole, let me run and just grab this call. But we need to talk. So I'll try and link you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
somebody
Link me
called me.
tomorrow.
Yeah, somebody called me and asked me some things that I need to convey to you. But we'll do it off here. All right.
Okay.
Take
All right.
care
No
now.
problem.
All right. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.
Yes, caller. Go ahead, please. Hello.
Hey, Mr. Rattigan,
Yes, ma'am. How are
I
you?
am calling from Canada, and I just turned 65,
Yes, ma'am.
and I had bought my house in Jamaica, planning to go back to live. And right now, the condition of Jamaica makes me like I'm planning selling the house.
Mm-hmm.
The children are like, Mom, what are you up to? My health is not very good. I need sunshine. I'm praying to God every day. I need some people to come together to do something in Jamaica, get this government down and out, throw him to the curve, get rid of him, get rid of them, not only him, get rid of them. Because I think the Constitution is the same with both, and
Okay.
it cannot continue like this.
Right.
We need people like you, along with this other guy, not guy, I should call him the maroon
Oh,
priest.
Curry, the chief.
Mr. Curry, yes. We need people like you to come together. We have a bunch of people that I know will come together and take this. This is too much. This is a crooked competition with the two parties in Jamaica, and we need to get rid of them.
Well,
People are suffering. People are suffering. I can tell you, people are suffering, and they are so full of fear.
yeah.
Most of the people that are calling in, they're from the diaspora, because the Jamaicans are afraid that somebody might identify them and come and get them after.
Yeah, that has been expressed. That there's a
We
certain
are in
level
a
of fear.
state now that Jamaica, and one of the big thing that they did is to actually take civics out of the school. That this generation doesn't understand what they're living for and what they're living in,
I
and
agree.
what's the purpose of all these things called politics.
I agree.
They don't know.
I agree. I agree.
So they're actually reaping what they did. It was a plan to do this. So they're like this generation is so illiterate when it comes on to the whole system of the country's constitution, the country's politics and everything. They're zero.
Right. Right.
Come on, Mr. Rattigan, help us to change Jamaica.
Well, I tell you what, with your help and your support, things will change, and I
I
wish you
am
all.
here. I am here to support in whatever way I can.
All right. Well, then I'm at your service. So let's keep in touch. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rattigan.
You're
God
welcome.
bless you.
Take care. Thank you very much. Bye bye. Yeah, we have about 13 minutes left. Um, uh, oh, I didn't even get to talk about some of the things in the. Well, there we go. Yes, caller. Good night. Welcome
Good
to
night.
Reason with Rattigan. Yes.
Good night, Mr. Good night, Mr. Ratty. I think it's time for hijack now, you know.
A time for what?
I think it's time for hijack the party, the two party down at Jamaica, cause we have Mr. Rattigan, we have Mr. Lonesome, we have Mr. Herb, we have Andre. Come on, what we are waiting for?
Oh, okay.
Now, frankly speaking, I not make money, but I'm ready to start to put up my money now.
Well, I'm not going to further. Millicent Spence and the thing, she was asking me to write the letter. I don't know if she just got on, but the letter has been written and delivered to Buckingham Palace. So it's with the King's. It was sent to the attention of the King's personal secretary. So I've done all that I can do. So it's there already. Now more people should write and send the letters there. And I guarantee you that when the King starts seeing a steady flow of letters coming in complaining about the actions, the unconstitutional actions of the Governor General, I think he will definitely take action. I don't know if he'll take action based on just one letter, but
that alone will solve it. We still are gonna have the crooked politician.
Well, see, the thing is, the Governor General, we can't do anything about him, but the crooked politicians, we can do something about them.
Right. So that's why I said it's time for us to come together and hijack the crooked politician.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, you and I need to talk about
put the money there unless all our sponsor and get it done. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then people have been asking about.
We're ready for sponsor. We don't want to see their account.
And then people have been asking about the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. I haven't heard anything yet. I have an option, but I'm fearful that if I go ahead and I make that change to get it, to get it authorized and ready to run with it right now, that they may end up coming with a change through the IRS. Essentially, what happened is that there was a slight error, and that error is preventing me from moving forward. The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation has been approved in my state. Now I need approval from the IRS, and there was a slight error, and because of that, we're waiting. I can actually change. I think I can go back and change the name of the organization in my state to reflect what the IRS actually came out with. But I'm afraid that if that's done, they're gonna, because already there is a request in for them to change it to reflect the name that we submitted to our state government. So that's why, long story short, this should be wrapped up in, like, I don't know, maybe another week or so. So please, people, bear with me. Keep your money in your pocket. Don't spend it up. Don't go buy no. Well, I was gonna say don't buy a lottery ticket, but it's hard to tell somebody not to buy a lottery ticket when it's $1 billion. But keep some of the money in your pocket, because the foundation is going to happen, and it's going to happen by the will and the grace of God, and the contributions and the support of all of you well-meaning people out there.
Yes, man. Still waiting on you, Mr. Herb and Mr. Lonesome.
All right, my brother.
And Mr. Tavares from from there, and Andrew.
Okay. Somebody just mentioned here, Mr. Rattigan, Mark Rowling is open for you to work into the PNP party. I've reached out I've reached out to him through various means and methods to say, come on the program and let's talk, let's reason. And so far, crickets, nothing.
No, Mr. Mark Rowling kind of weak. Weak leader. We came over the week.
Yeah, Peter Flynn, I see the idea, thing about the 50 garbage trucks. We'll get to that. None of these issues are going to die a death under our watch. So, brethren, anyway, thank you so much. All right, let me run and take another call. Yes, go ahead, please. Caller.
Hello, good night.
Good night, good night.
Yeah. All right, let me run. This is Mr. Myrick.
Yes,
I don't know if I'm on here. So the number, I was just calling in.
Oh, yes, you're
Mr.
live.
On here?
Yes, I'm speaking.
Okay, good night. I'm from Waterhouse, like you,
Yes,
born and grown in Waterhouse. Yeah, man. I don't know if you know for Balcom Drive side.
Yeah, man.
Buckles, Bins Road up on them side.
We used to live on Dilston Avenue, Bridget.
Tell me I listen, I'm a follow you.
Yeah.
Wayne Lonesome, Andre, Steven, Jamaica Carlos. So you know, so we're in tune with everything.
Okay, good.
And yeah, and I follow UIC as well too.
Okay.
Because he have a lot of things whereby I just suggest something. Why don't you invite Mr. Patterson as well and build a correlation, like
all right,
a correlation party whereby everybody can come together and sit at the table and get, because I never vote yet, I never vote for either JLP or 20. Okay. I'm really want to exercise my vote.
All right.
But I'm really confused right now, trust me.
Okay. I actually invited Mr. Patterson on the program, Reason with Rattigan. He came on. This was several months ago, and he failed to impress the audience with his answers, because what we did was we started looking at his manifesto and started questioning certain things. And while he's a bright man, he failed to answer some of the some questions concerning his behavior, things that he did, and it rankled a lot of people. But look, the platform is open. If he wants to come back, I'll gladly have him on.
Yeah, man, because everybody needs a second chance, right?
Of course, I agree. So if you can reach out to him and tell him, say, listen, Mr. Rattigan has an open invitation for you to come on the program. You can come. He can come anytime. Please tell him that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
my brother.
All right. That's it. I love the work we are doing. Just keep it up. I feel I have a sense of hope right now, whereby when I see these type of thing I go on, I feel good, you know?
All right, my brethren. Much appreciated.
I'm not open at the other two of them. Trust me. None out of the two of them.
See it there?
None out of the two of them. None.
I just say it there, right?
Yeah, man. All right. That's my thing.
Right,
so bless up yourself, brother. Respect. One love.
Likewise. Bye-bye. All right. We have 6 minutes left. And so, I forgot to call it a day for this program, because I have another program in 2 hours and I have eaten all day. So this will probably be the final call for the program. Yes, caller, go ahead, please.
Good night, Mr. Rattigan. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Good night. Yes. And
there are 2 points that I want to make. I'm well, thanks. There are 2 points that I want to make. One of the things is that most Jamaicans don't like to read. We have a problem with that issue. And I notice you're always reading stuff, and which is good. And if we get into the habit of reading, there are a lot of things that would not miss us. Living here in the US, people are always reading. And that's one of the things where we fall short. Another thing, that some of these persons that are in government position, I think some of them would really and truly want to talk up. But after what I've seen that happened to that policeman, there is a possibility that they have been set up, they have been put in a position where they have been compromised. And so there are files on them. And their hands and feet and mouth and everything are tied, so they can't act. And that is a serious step, because if memory serves me right, I recall there was when Andre was recapping on some stuff that he went through, and earlier on when he was with them in the political party. And I think he had mentioned that the wife of the prime minister had gotten somebody to tape somebody. I'm not quite sure, but there was some conversation along that line. So there's a possibility that is what is happening. And so they can't really get to do anything. Also, they're in fear of their family. The repercussion, because it's just sad what is happening.
No, you're right. You make some good points. But let me just go back to the reading, the first one you made. It's one thing to read. It's another thing to understand. And
Right.
so you have a lot of people who read, but they don't have the, the critical thinking
Yes.
aspect of understanding what's going on. So they read it and it's all words to them. And you understand that some people they're trying, right? And that's why it's up to people like me who have been trained to do this kind of
Yes.
thing, that we share our experience, we share our knowledge, and we try to elevate people. So we try to get them to understand, to read and to understand, and to be critical about what they're reading. Ask questions.
Yes.
Ask questions. Don't stop asking. As I said, there's no stupid question, because if you're thinking about it, other people are thinking about asking the same question. There's no stupid question, right? And that's what I'm hopeful about, that people will listen to the program, and not only listen, but they will understand and they will acquire a certain skill set as to how to read between the lines, read between the lies as well.
Yes.
And just be critical about everything that they see, hear, what through whatever format they get information. Just be critical. Just don't accept things. And that's why when I call on the program, I said no, because when I start talking about Minister Kamina Johnson Smith, I'm telling you, all of you people, all of my people, my family members, you're going to say wow, because it's all documentary evidence. It's not hearsay, right? It's not hearsay. And some of these things have been there for a while, but people didn't read, or people read but didn't understand what was going on.
Yes, and or like you would say, hidden in plain sight.
Exactly. So look, thank you for the call. I'll try to get some rest now. Come back. Oh, by the way, people, on the need for tune in tonight at midnight and listen to the Rebel. All right, I'll be on tonight. I'm gonna play some slow jam. So call up. If you're not living with a significant other, then find yourself a significant other, because this music going to drive you to do certain things. So you laugh. So tune in midnight, Reggae Global Radio. All right.
All right. Bless
So
you.
we'll
Take
talk.
care.
Take care. All right.
All right.
All right, folks. That's it for me. I forgot to turn off the phone now. It's 1 minute before 10. And I have to get ready for the second program. So look, it's been a pleasure. I'm at your service. I'm not paying a price for this. When I mean saying a price, like I'm not making a sacrifice for this, because this is my passion, right? It is about giving back to the community. It is about educating people. It's about elevating people. It's about helping people. And it's also about being humble enough to listen to what people have to say, because I don't have all the answers. I have some answers, but I don't have all the answers. And some of the answers I have, they may not even be correct. But how do I know this? When you and I start to reason and you start pointing out things to me and say, no, it won't work that way because. And that's what this format is about. It's about us talking about the issues. It's also about us coming up with solutions to the issue and taking action. So it's talking about the issue, solutions, and action. And the letter to the king, that's just one of the things. The Minister Kamina Johnson Smith, like I said, I have a ton of documents. Her presentation, my presentation about her situation is going to be even longer. And it's going to be mind-blowing, because you're going to see documents for the first time. And you're going to see how cunning people are when they want to avoid telling you the truth. You're going to see it with your own eyes in black and white. So stay tuned for that. And until then, remember, I'm at your service. Reason with Rattigan. So join me tonight, and we'll have some light moments. We'll listen to some music, and you'll hear a different voice, because the voice you hear now is not the voice you'll hear tonight. I have a different voice for the late night thing. And those of you who have listened to me at night, you'll be able to convince the others. So tune in tonight. We have some nice music, and we'll have some fun. Take care. Be well. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.